It's just us. But as you can see, we're having a little bit of technical difficulties. But all right, we got in, folks. So now we're just gonna start the intro.
I think I figured out the problem.
All right, what's the problem? We'll start with that.
I'm gonna hang up. Can I hang up? You ready for me to hang up?
All
right, here we go. All right, you ready? Okay. The problem was, all right. So the problem was I was doing some CLEs this week, and so I had it running through this computer, and so I shut the mic off and left it off, right? And I totally forgot about it. And I just looked down and saw the light was still on and it was on the mic. So, you can't hear me. And so I was like, oh, so I just pressed the button to see what happened. And voila, it worked.
Well, okay. Well, that's an interesting welcome to the House of Nerds show today. We're doing a later edition. This Marquelon Sigler. I'm here co-hosting showrun again. And I got my part of the Birmingham Bros, Damian Slytherin Targaryen in here again. What do you have? The Undrowned God?
The Undrowned God.
Here you go, this cancer nonsense again, because I know you.
Man, more than that. More than that. More than that.
I'm a fire, so I'm an Aries, but I know you like cancers love the water.
Look. Talking about week in review. You know what I mean? It's been a hellified week for people. So, hey.
Well, I understand that. So,
but yes, Cancers, we are water signs, and so the water will not hurt us. But I'm also some women I know, they told me that I'm a Sagittarius moon or something like that. So yeah. I'm fire and water.
Yeah, so I don't get that. My last girlfriend, she was like on the moon and the phase you were born on. I didn't get that. You and I have had conversations back in the day about astrology, and I believe that people born at a certain time of the year have characteristics in common, like the effect of gravity in the moon, stuff. But as far as being born in the moon in a certain sign, I can't speak to that. So
I don't, I just leave that alone. I mean, it's, to me, at most, it's, fun, it's occasional humor, stuff like that. And, but, once we get beyond like the month you were born, I mean, I don't know.
I believe that, certain people, certain characteristics and whatnot. So it's all good. So we are here for another edition of the House of Nerd. I guess this is what Marquelon Sigler's corner of the House of Nerd, where there are many different rooms, and I'm in the comic book room, and I have Damon with me again, one half of the part of the Birmingham Bros crew. Sergio, let me say this first. Sergio will be back. So those following on Twitter, Sergio had his baby, and that's why he's been off. But I saw on Twitter that the baby is home, baby's doing good. So thank you for everybody who's been praying and and putting their positive thoughts towards Sergio and his new baby. And I saw he named the baby. The baby's middle name was like Kal-El. I was like, what?
I like that.
If he was serious about that or not, but that's what he put on Twitter. So his son is home, and he kind of informed me and Elle that he should be back on the July 2nd show, which is next weekend, which will I not be here. But I think Sergio and I will be back together the following week, which will be July the 9th. And then normality will return to the House of Nerds show. Because we've been, off schedule on a lot of different things, and I was watching last week's show too. I'm trying to see what, we're going to shout out Elle and Ruben and Tara for doing last week's show. I know they talked about Ed Brubaker's new piece. I know they talked about a lot of different things. But that's the one popped in my mind. And I know they talked about Steelworks. Michael Dorn writing Steelworks. I was like on my way to church, so I was listening to it while I was driving to church. So I'm not sure what they had a pick of the week or cop or drop. But I saw what Elle said. What are you going to talk about? I said, I don't know. She said, what time are you going to do it? I said, well, hey, I didn't know I had a choice. So I'm like, well, instead of doing it before I go to church or go to the early morning service and do the show, I said, let me go to church first and then we'll do the show. So Damon was available to come in and do it with me. And I appreciate you, sir.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right.
So, talking about naming your kids, man, I came real close.
Tell him this story. I know this story. So tell him this one.
Well, I mean, it's not a huge story, but it was just, when I first found out that I was having a child, and this is back when I was married. So when I first found out, and it was a boy, I was like coming up with names, whatever. Anakin was definitely on that list.
He is not lying, y'all. This man was really gonna name his son Anakin.
I really thought about that one.
He really did.
I really did. And then, but my position, I wasn't thrown off from my position. I got to be more solid in my position because, again, my then ex-wife, she was like, no, because Anakin is ghetto. And I was like, what?
Anakin is ghetto. I think I said that when you told me that. She was like,
exactly. So I'm like, how is Anakin ghetto? I mean, it's based on the name Anakim, which is, a real name. But, even if it was just straight Anakin with the N, in what way would that be ghetto? But it was one of those things where I was married to somebody who just, everything I said, she just got to be the opposite all the time. And well, that's why she is ex and not current.
Well, brother, we
but you think
no bashing here, but I understand
his middle name, I did name him Alexander for his middle name. And his middle name was based on, what was it? Alexander the Great. And
Lex Luthor.
It's Alexander Hamilton and Alexander the Great. I was in the Army. Alexander the Great. And I like the idea of my son being named after a conqueror. And also like the intellectual aspect of Alexander Hamilton and his belief in concentrated government. And he was not a slave owner, Secretary of Treasury, the first, also Army, served under George Washington. So I was like, that's a good dignified name, and so Alexander, and I always call him Lex for short. And because I call him Lex, Mr. Man over here thinks that I named him after Lex Luthor.
First of all, man, you one of the few people I know that would be capping hard for Lex Luthor. You cap hard for Lex Luthor. You cap hard for Anakin Skywalker. You be like, Anakin Skywalker was right. I'm like,
he was right. Anakin Skywalker was right.
No, Cyclops was right. Anakin Skywalker just went crazy. He was corrupted by the influence.
Anakin Skywalker was, first of all, the Jedi Knights, they were all wrong. They were completely wrong. That's how they got wiped out, was being arrogant and they were two things, loud and wrong all the time. So that's what messed them up.
I mean, but and then you're obsessed with Lex Luthor, but then you balance it out because you obsessed with Batman too. You were the first Bat stan I ever met in real life. I say that.
I'm the first. Okay.
You were the first Bat stan. I didn't realize people could be so obsessed with Batman until I ran into you.
I am. Batman was my introduction to comics. Batman, he represents a lot of what I believe in, and what I just really appreciate is the level of intelligence that he's bringing to every problem. And that's why he can basically be the solver of that problem. And then, because we talked about it last week, about like Iron Man and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I got into Iron Man. No, it came up in somebody else's show that it's important that these movies are being made now because you can start appreciating some of these characters. When I came into Marvel, I came in on the mutant side. And all I cared about, my whole thing, and you know how this was, as kids, when you only have so much money, you could blow all your money doing nothing but just the mutants or just the Avengers. You could go and do both, but that takes a lot of money. And I was saving up my lunch money, just starving myself in lunch just to go and spend that lunch money and buy a 1 or 2 comic books, and so it would always be X-Men. So that's always my thing. And so I never really appreciated Iron Man until Robert Downey Jr. I can admit that, and by the time I saw RDJ, I was like, oh, so I mean,
that's the role that saved his career, man.
Okay. I mean, it made sense. And he was such a perfect casting for that character. I mean, I know I just said I wasn't looking at him a lot, but I was aware of Tony Stark. And so when I found out about the casting and saw him play, I'm like, hey, this really is. And the more I watch it to this day, I'm still loving. I will sit down and watch the first Iron Man. I did a couple of weeks ago just to be doing it. I love Iron Man. So I like that idea of applying knowledge to every problem and then being a virtual god among men just because you're just that smart.
This cat said a virtual god among men. Okay. Yes. If nothing else, every time you come on here, you are always highly entertaining, my friend. Nothing else.
Well, I love that man for that. So yes, Batman. I'm gonna stay on Batman. That's my dude. Learn to appreciate T'Challa over time, stuff like that. But still, my ace is Batman, and my new ace, co-ace, is Iron Man.
Okay. I mean, but I get it, because a lot of people, as when Marcus was on here, me, Marcus, Kevin did this show a couple weeks ago. We were talking about, he said, they're the mystery men, people who just lifted themselves up. Like, I'm smart, I'm strong, I'm fast.
Yeah,
I can lift myself up and become this. So I get the appeal for that.
Yeah, and even sitting in the gym, like, okay, there's no way that a brother can fly. I'm never gonna fly. And you can, based on my track record with women, based on any woman that you would ask, you will know that I am not telepathic either. So I don't have that power. I'm not telepathic. I'm not, I'm a terrible runner. The only thing that I do well is get in the gym and lift weights so I can be strong at best. And that's it. That's the only so-called superpower I have. I read a lot, so I can give you, hyper literacy, but that's what's under my control, and that's what's available, like in real life. If anybody could ever build a suit, it's because they're smart enough to build it. Not that it couldn't be done,
Okay. All right, man. I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
All right, so we can review it. Like I said, you had what we're going to talk about, because I see you've been very active in the nerds group, posting just random ass stuff. But I'm going to tell you what I want to start with. We start the last time I saw you.
Okay.
What did we see the last time we were together?
Yes,
Let's start with that.
We saw Flash. So saw the Flash.
So this is you and I first time talking since the Flash, since we saw it. So I want you to tell the audience, the people who will come and view this later on, what was our experience at the Flash, and then I'll give my take on it, and we'll go from there.
Okay, first of all, it's gonna be spoiler heavy. I'm not holding back. So I have said spoiler alert.
So
10,
count it down. Let you count it down.
It's coming. This is the countdown. All right, so here you go. We got Ezra Miller, who was the title character Flash and was the weakest link in the whole movie.
Really? Okay. All right. Well, okay. Go ahead.
I mean, I'm sorry. It just was. I'm one of those people that saw Grant Gustin, liked Grant Gustin, didn't want anybody but Grant Gustin to hold down this role. The only other person that I would have been happy seeing in that role would have been the Flash before Grant Gustin, who was also, on the new show, in one of the other Earths, But I mainly showed up. I didn't want to support Ezra Miller, but I knew for a fact. Again, my man is who? Batman. So when I found out Michael Keaton Batman was coming back, there was no way I wasn't going to be there for the first day of that. Yeah, I just had to be. So, I saw Batman. The performance. And his performance was great. It's kind of cool seeing, what happened to Batman since, Batman Returns. You probably know that he was doing other things, but, over time, he felt like he just wasn't needed anymore. The world didn't need Batman. So that was an interesting concept to me. I'm like, what world would not need a Batman? Because I am a Batman stan. And then we saw a new equation, a new element rather, with Sasha Calle. She was playing.
I love how you say her name properly, Sasha Calle. You the first person I've heard say her name aloud. It sounded like you're saying it properly.
Yeah, what else would it be? Oh wait, I did take Spanish when I was in, high school and college. So anyway, so Sasha Calle, and now as soon as I say that, I'm going to screw up every following Spanish word, right? But yeah, Sasha Calle was in it, and I definitely liked her take on it. it took me a minute. It took until posting the nerds group. She reminded me for a minute. I was looking at her like this kind of gives a hint as to what it would be like if Michelle Rodriguez had been casted in this role, because Michelle's voice.
Wait, hold up. Wait, I got something. Michelle Rodriguez from the Fast and the Furious.
From the Fast and the Furious. And I'm going to tell you why I say that.
Sasha Calle performance in Supergirl. Okay.
And Isa Gonzalez also. Because Isa Gonzalez, and I know she a little bit, she looks like Isa and I'm trying to say her name. Selena Gomez. But she kind of has, the look, the sound, her voice projects the way it sounds is a lot like Michelle Rodriguez. And I thought it was appropriate, not that she just sounds like it, but her delivery of that character, Kara Zor-El, short-haired brunette Kara, to see that it was a completely different take that I'm used to seeing. I think that they said that in the comics there was a version of Kara that was like that. I never saw it, but
I saw it. I didn't think she was Kara. She was Superwoman, as I recall. It was a Superwoman.
There was a Superwoman, but that was with an alternate timeline, and it was like a take on Diana Prince, though.
Right, because I remember there was a future Superwoman. And she had a similar outfit to Sasha Calle's outfit in The Flash, and she had she was brunette with short hair. So I do remember that as well.
What was the one with Superman, Batman, and when they went through different timelines and they saw the female versions of each other all at once? That Ed Brubaker drew it, I think.
Yeah, no, Ed Brubaker didn't draw it. You talking about Superman, Batman?
Maybe not him.
That Jeff Loeb, but I know
that Jeff Loeb run. That Jeff Loeb run.
Yeah,
but yeah. So I forgot who drew it. So anyway, bottom line is I think that one might have been that Superwoman or Supergirl.
You can make me look it up. I think it was Mike McGinnis was the artist.
McGinnis? Why did I say Brubaker? Yes, McGinnis.
Because Ed Brubaker's a writer. So
where I come from? I'm sorry.
Right couples attempted to draw him as well, as my understanding. So.
Okay, my bad. Totally my bad. Yeah, that was an obvious wrong. But yeah, so basically we had a grittier take on Kara. Her being captured, and for a while I thought this was about to get into the Red Sun before you even saw her, because they were going to Russia, and then being in a Russian facility and stuff like that. I just knew they were going to do some version of Red Sun. But what we have in this movie is, to me, it's either Flashpoint Crisis or Flashpoint on Infinite Earths, whatever you want to call it. But that's how I looked at this whole movie.
Okay, all right. You said a lot of stuff. So here's my take on it. One, the movie, even though people complain about the special effects, and I did see what people complained about, I still find the movie visually spectacular. I will say this. That first scene when he's running from Gotham, or running from Central City to Gotham, that, especially if you're watching in the IMAX dome like we watched it, that was like being on a roller coaster. I was like, man, it's like being on a ride right here.
Yes.
And then the whole first scene where he saved the babies and all this stuff, and just show how fast he was, that was interesting, but also humorous. So I like that. I know I saw Marcus. I don't know if Marcus posted in the nerds group or he texted, but he was like, I didn't like Ezra Miller's performance. I personally think he don't like Ezra Miller, which, I get that, but I think it's probably the best thing I've seen Ezra Miller act in. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I think it is. It's the best thing I've ever seen him act.
Better than Fantastic Beasts, man.
I didn't say he was a great actor. I said it's the best thing I've ever seen him act in.
Oh, did you not see Fantastic Beasts?
Nah, I ain't see.
Okay.
I didn't even know he was in that. So
okay.
I think I've watched some of the first Fantastic Beasts. I hadn't seen the sequel to it. So he's in that.
Yeah,
but he was good in this one because he basically convinced me he was two different versions of Barry Allen. A more mature version of Barry Allen, and then a younger goofball Barry Allen. And they became two distinct characters by the end of the movie, So I got to give him credit for that. I'm not approving any of this stuff. This is, with his kinky lifestyle and whatever he's been charged with.
I ain't even getting into that.
I think he was good in this. and I think probably it backfired on Warner Brothers. And I've been seeing. Well, let me ask you this, because the box office movie is not good. Everybody can admit that. Mm-hmm. Well, even that's relative. The box office is better than most movies. It's just not better than. It's not what it needed to be. It still made $200+ million. You know,
they could have seen this coming. They could have seen the problem coming a whole long time ago. I mean, from the very first performance, right, in the very first Justice League movie, okay, or version of Justice League, however you want to call it. But for as long as we've seen Ezra Miller play Barry Allen, people hated it. You know, I don't know too many people that were like, oh my God, that's so awesome. I mean, people like Grant Gustin. I've never heard anybody just say, oh, they really enjoyed Ezra Miller playing Barry, because Barry, in any version, since I was a kid, and I didn't even read a lot of Flash, but I never heard of Barry Allen being a quirky weirdo, you know, with awesome powers. No, I've never seen. Now, at best, Wally West, but Wally West was not a quirky idiot either. He was funny. He was.
Probably the closest performer would be Impulse. Impulse was portrayed. It was portrayed as being kind of scatterbrained because his speed and not paying attention to stuff. I mean, Barry Allen. When I first started reading Barry Allen, he was like, I'm this dude, this kind of wallflower, because I'm square, but I'm slow and everything. But, you know, when I became the Flash, it became my secret. I'm slow because now I choose to be slow, you know. Yeah. And, you know, and Barry Allen becomes more and more confident in being the Flash over the years, to the point where he get his sidekick, you know, his partner, Kid Flash. And Kid Flash basically adores Barry. He's like, well, Barry was just perfect as the Flash, you know, which we see, especially through the CW Flash show, that Barry has struggled a lot to be the Flash.
Yeah, true. You know, and I can really appreciate that. I mean, you know, we have friends. Well, I'm not gonna say friends, but I think that, you know, we all have mentors, or we try to mentor other people, and we know the limitations of whatever mentoring we can offer. I mean, I'm still, you know, talking to people sometimes like, hey, how do I do this? How do I do that? My little sister, we were texting each other, and she was talking about some of the stuff that she's trying to do. She, you know, she's graduated from college, and, you know, she's got the master's program she's about to finish. And she's like, okay, well, you know, what do I do next? Blah, blah, blah. And so we've talked, and I've shared some of the insights that I've had, you know, and the little stuff that I knew, which is nothing by comparison to my peers. That little stuff she was very appreciative of. And I can just imagine a version of Barry Allen where he's trying to figure it out as a superhero. He's got, you know, and he sciences every problem. You know, that's the theme of the Flash stuff. You know, whereas Batman is more psychological, the Flash stuff is more science oriented. And so he sciences problems. So he's got to come up with a new way to solve these problems all the time. There's moral, ethical issues. So I guess you could say the ethics of science, because even when you talk about the capacity to do time travel, should you do it? You know, so he's got a lot that he's trying to work with, and so he has to figure stuff out. And I think that, yeah, he and Batman have worked together they've worked together on stuff too, and they answer each other's questions. But to a guy like Kid Flash, I mean, Kid's gonna be looking at it like, yo, how do I do this? You know,
I mean, I think that's an excellent point, and I want to shout out in the comments. I see Sergio Gonzalez is here, the founder of the House of Nerds.
Hey, man.
Hey. So, Sergio, I don't know if you saw when we shout out, you know, you on the recent birth of your son, you know, Kal-El Gonzalez. Was it Ben Haven? I think his name was Ben Haven, Kal-El Gonzalez. So
I ain't gonna lie, man. If I have a little girl, I'm gonna name her Ivy Storm. You know, because
Ivy Storm. Like, you know, after Pamela Isley, Poison Ivy and Storm from X-Men.
Not so much, not Poison Ivy. There's Ivy for a different reason. But
for AKA,
for the women in my family. But anyway,
women in your family with AKAs.
And the fact that, first of all, what you need to understand, okay, like some people name their kids like Daisy and stuff like that. What I like about ivies are very dominant plants, and no matter where you put an ivy, when it grows, it will grow up the side of a wall or anything else. It just takes over. And I like the notion of having a little girl who will grow up to just take over things. I like that. So,
Oh wait,
and
Sergio
of
said,
course Storm, because Aurora, we all love Storm.
well, you know I love Storm right now. I'm really feeling Al Ewing's take on Storm. And
Oh, you mean in this current comic, man? I'm trying so hard. I tried.
man,
Like,
hold on. Before we get into that, because we're gonna get into that. Now
no,
Sergio
we don't
again.
have to. I'm
No,
struggling on that right
we
now.
gonna get into that. We gonna have fun in the House of Nerd today. Sergio says, can't wait to come back and talk about the Flash, Transformers, Rise of the Beast, Across the Spider-Verse, and more with y'all. Which we have seen
I gotta
all
get
these
on
movies.
that across the. That's the only one I'm missing. I gotta get on that Spider-Verse. I'm
Man,
gonna fix it. I'm gonna fix it, bruh. I had a lot going on this week. I really did. I had to get my CLEs to not lose my law license. All right.
Hey man, I get it, because when it's time for me to maintain, my insurance license, my mortgage license, my real estate, I get that. I get that.
So thank you. I'm gonna get on that.
But I will say this, man, and I'm gonna say it in front of everybody.
I'm gonna say it like Donald Trump. I'm doing the best that I can under the circumstances. I will get to it.
All right, so let me say this. First, Across the Spider-Verse is the best movie of the year. I will go on record and say that. It should probably win Best Picture of the Year. It will definitely win Best Animated Film of the Year, the Oscars. It should win Best Picture, but they're probably not going to do it because it's animated, and it ends on the cliffhanger. So they're not going to do it, But it is. I mean, it is, I've seen a lot of movies this year because I think I got pandemic, I was in for the pandemic. So I've gone to the movies probably more this year than I have in years. I mean, I've seen so many movies because, taking advantage of Tuesday matinee shows and stuff like that. No, let me go do this right there, But it is, I think it and John Wick 4 are the only movies I think I want to go back and see them again. Everything else I saw, it was good,
I'm gonna say to the audience this part on you to your point about getting back in the theaters. That Flash though, you need to see it in the IMAX. I mean IMAX dome, not just they have a really big screen. Flash, no, you need to see that in the dome theater. In Alabama, we have the McWayne Center. That's the one you need to do. Oh my God, that's the experience that you need to have.
I mean, and I completely agree with you. The first movie I saw that McWayne Dome Theater was Superman Returns, which I had already. I don't even know. It was like they were just doing a replay of like a year later. I'm like, well, let me go see it. This is a completely different movie in IMAX. I'm like, looking at the screen, like, man. I'm doing this up, damn. Like, when you're in that dome, it's amazing. I do think you had to sit too close, though. I did. I think we should have been at the top of the dome. We could have seen more. But I compromised.
I like where it was, like being towards the center. Because then it really is like a real experience where you have to turn your head left and right just like in your life right now. I mean, if you want to see something over here, you turn, want to see something over there. And that gives me the sense that stuff is happening everywhere. Because I got to
I get it. But also, I think if you sit at the top of the dome, you have that the top center, you can still see it there, but you also can take everything in, because at times I was like, all right, I'm trying to sit back and make sure I can see everything,
Oh, man, I love being in the middle. Right there.
I saw, and I had to compromise him to be in the middle, y'all. That was the thing. I said, all right, he was trying to be closer to the center. I'm like, why are we doing it with IMAX? Why are you trying to be close in IMAX?
I remember seeing the second Transformers movie when the first two times I went to McWayne Center. I saw the second Transformers movie, and I saw Dark Knight Returns, and there is nothing like that opening scene. That's when I knew. When you see that opening scene on the bank heist and they're trying to do the zip line from one rooftop to the other, and you see all of Gotham, that is a thing. When you see Batman about to go snatch the in China, when he goes to China and he's about to kidnap the money launderer, and he jumped and he did that base jump and he's flying. Oh my God, yeah, that's that had to happen in the dome. So it's a whole movie. That's a whole experience.
I mean, I agree with you. I mean, The Dark Knight is one of the best movies I've ever seen. I didn't see it in IMAX. I wish I had, but it is definitely one of the best comic book movies of all time. Which and of course we know it won an Oscar for Heath Ledger. Posthumously.
Yeah,
he passed by then. But so I'm gonna ask you this, Damon.
Yeah.
Do you think The Flash was a good movie? You're thinking too hard on this. I don't know. Now,
I'm trying to divorce. I liked it. I did like. I'm glad that I went to see it. I'm just gonna say what I did not like. I just did not like Ezra Miller in that role. I'll never like him in that particular role. This is not me shitting on him just as an actor. I mean, I think that there's a place for everything, for everybody as actors go, and that just is not his place. He's not Flash to me. He will. There's nothing that he could ever do that would tell me Barry Allen Flash.
Okay, nothing. I mean, and I respect that. Like I still say this is probably the best thing I've seen him in, because I think other than the Justice League stuff, he was in Train Spotting with Amy Schumer, and I was like, he came off as a weirdo in that to me, but it was a comedy, so I think he's supposed to come off as a weirdo in that. I do think, and this may be a controversial statement,
Train Spotting,
not Train Spotting, Train wreck. Okay. I said Train Spot, but Train wreck. And I will say this as well. It has been controversial. I think this is probably the best of the DCEU films. I think it is, even though it's got its problems, but none of them were perfect. I mean, none of them are going to be like Endgame. Let's just get that out there from the beginning. But I think I enjoyed this one better than. It's probably top of it. It's probably top. I mean, I would say this, Zack Snyder's Justice League cut, and then probably Man of Steel. Those are probably, I'll throw Aquaman in there, and Aquaman and Wonder Woman round it out, I enjoy Aquaman. I enjoyed Wonder Woman. I didn't really enjoy Wonder Woman 2 as much, but
I'll tell you why I wanted to see Aquaman so badly when I first found out they were making it, because Vinny Chase talked about it so damn much. You remember
okay,
yeah. So I'm like, so they're gonna do a real Aquaman movie.
So for those of you who don't know, there was this show called Entourage. It was a great show. In fact, let me tell my entourage story, because I used to be in Reginald Hutlin's. I used to be in his forum for a while. Reginald Hutland, that was working at BET for a while. Made House Party. Worked in the Boondocks for a while, wrote Black Panther for a while, I used to be in his forum. And somebody in there asked him, like, look, man, Reddy, you in Hollywood, you've been in Hollywood for years, man. There's a how accurate is Entourage? And he was like, Entourage is the truest depiction of Hollywood I've ever seen. And somebody said, Reggie, are you saying, I'm watching this conversation in real time. He said, Reggie, are you saying that if my boy is famous, people will give me free stuff and women have sex? He says, that's exactly how it works out here. That's exactly how it works. That's the proof of Entourage. The dude is famous. Vinny Chase, Adrian Grenier's character, is famous. And he brought his boy Eric, made him his manager. His brother Drama was like who was another actor, and was like his cook. And his boy Turtle was his driver. He brought them to Hollywood, and they went to come out and have adventures.
Jeremy Piven was
Ari Emanuel.
Yes, Ari Gold was based on Rahm Emanuel's brother too.
Ari Emanuel. That's who he is.
Ari Emanuel. That's it.
So if you don't know, Rahm Emanuel, who was mayor of Chicago, who's a former congressman of Chicago, who was President Obama's chief of staff. His real life brother is a Hollywood agent named Ari Emanuel.
And his other brother is on MSNBC a lot as a doctor.
So the Emanuel family, even though they cuss about everything, they all cuss like a sailor, apparently. They are very successful.
But Ari Gold was my dude, man. I love Ari.
Ari, he'd be like, hug it out, bitch. That'd be my face. Hug it out, bitch. But Ari loved Vince, and Vince loved Ari. I don't know why Ari loved Vince so much, because Vince caused him a lot of problems, but he did.
But he always came through in the end and did something that like made up for everything. It always did.
Yeah, I mean, but Vince caused Ari a lot of problems. And my favorite line, he's like, Drum's like, Vince, you think you're easy, but you're not. You think you're easy, but you're not. I've said it to many women I've dated since then too. Like, you think you're easy, but you're not. And I loved Entourage, man. I loved it. People complained about it later in seasons, but I like, man, I loved it. The Entourage movie, probably it was okay. It could have been episode though, Yeah, but it was okay.
I watched it. Minutes since I've seen it, but yeah.
Oh, and let me say this too. Entourage is supposedly based on Mark Wahlberg's real life when he came to Hollywood with his brother. Donnie Wahlberg was already out there, and his best friend was also his manager. His other friend, Donkey, was his driver. And 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 they were known as the PUSSY posse for a while. Which watching Entourage, you can see how that happened. Oh no, it was also based on Leonardo DiCaprio too. Now that I think about it, it was based on DiCaprio.
Really?
They were the posse.
Okay.
So like Vince is supposed to be like a combination between Mark Wahlberg and Leonardo DiCaprio.
Okay.
And Vince is like, for those who ain't watching, Vince is constantly like, he like Kelso from the 70s show. He just fall into it. She's like, oh, let me just open. Here's my panties. Here you go. That's happening a lot on Entourage.
Yeah. But man, so Aquaman was one of the roles on the show and became a big issue. One of the plots, main plots is for him to get the role to be in James Cameron's Aquaman movie.
Right.
So eventually, in real life, as they did do an Aquaman movie. So then I was curious, like, is James Cameron gonna do it?
Yeah, and James Cameron, actually showed up on Entourage, playing himself.
He did. Aquaman. Everybody's playing themselves on that show on Entourage.
But matter of fact, man, I think my favorite episode of Entourage is the one where Matt Damon was on there, and Matt Damon was calling Vince to do something like donation to some charity or something like that. And he was like, "Why am I even asking you this?" He said, "I'm Matt Damon. Why am I even talking to you like this?" He said, "Why am I even asking you? I'm Matt Damon." He said, "Why am I wasting my time?"
Man, I don't remember that episode, man. It was so many of the episodes. Now I got to go back and watch them. I got to go back and watch them. But I'll tell you this, talking about DC, I'm just like everybody else, man. Well, not just like everybody else. The animated stuff, I decided to go back and watch the animated stuff because I found it online where all the animated stuff. I wasn't really paying attention. They are really linked and they are sequential. This is a revelation to me, not to you all, but to me. So I decided this week, I'll just go back and start watching some of the episodes. Like,
so I'm saying, which animated stuff are we talking about? Because you got.
All right, hold up. I'm about to read it off to you right now.
All right, let me know what you've been watching, man.
All right, you talk while I look this up. And
all right, so what I'm gonna talk is like, you got like the Bruce Timm, Paul Dini era, which starts with Batman animated series and goes to Superman animated series, then goes to Justice League, and then goes to Justice League Unlimited, which. But at that point, Dwayne McDuffie was in the mix, and that was some of the finest animation you will ever see. And also,
I don't know if you can see it very well, but no, you cannot. Nope, can't see that is not working. There we go. There you go.
You got me screening them. So you talking about the Justice League War stuff? Okay, that era.
Yeah. So I decided to go back in that order that you're looking at. I just
all right. So let me ask you this.
I just finished Bad Blood. I was looking at Justice League versus Teen Titans.
Okay, good.
Okay. Only because I was tired. Nothing was wrong with it. It was just late and I fell asleep. So I'm gonna start over today. And then after Justice League versus Teen Titans, I'm going into Justice League Dark.
Okay.
And then after that goes Teen Titans, the Judas Contract.
Okay, I've seen all those. But
yeah, I've seen them all. It's just I didn't see them in that order. So now we're starting over.
I would say this much, man. Justice League Dark Apocalypse War is probably the finest DC animated movie I've ever seen.
And that's
the end of that movie.
Let's see. Right after that, that's the penultimate episode, and the ultimate being Constantine, the House of Mystery, which was released in 2022.
Man, I hadn't seen Constantine, the House of Mystery, but mark my words, because Justice League Dark, the Apocalypse War, ties back into Flashpoint, the Flashpoint paradox, which up until this point, I say it was the best DC animated movie I've ever seen. People argue with me about this. Like, no, it's Red Hood, it's Under Red. I said, no, it's not, man, because Under Red Hood, while it is such a faithful adaptation of a great comic book, they knew, but the Flashpoint Paradox cartoon, it added new stuff that you didn't see in the comic book, and to me, it was more original.
Okay, so Batman Hush is also on this list, from the comic book and from the animated piece, which was a lot like the comic. What bothers me is that they never. First of all, I had never heard of Batman's friend before. and I had not heard
Tommy, what's his name?
Tommy, yeah. I had never heard of Tommy. Okay, the fact that I can't remember his name says a lot, right? Because they never used him.
Well, you got to realize, all right, so, you may not remember, but Batman Hush was like Jim Lee, coming back to Batman, to DC Comics to do Batman. I don't even remember who the writer. It probably was Jeff Loeb. Now I think it probably was Jeff Loeb.
Jeff Loeb
and Jim Lee. Okay, and it was a whole. This is when they were doing the whole maxi
early 2000s.
They were doing the whole like we're gonna give one writer a character for like 12 months and basically let them do a maxi series in their regular book. Batman Hush was spectacular. It looked great. It was great. You had Hush, a new villain, who turned to be Bruce Wayne's friend.
Mm-hmm.
Now in the anime movie, I didn't like the anime movie because they changed it. You've seen it, right?
I've seen it. I gotta watch it again.
So
I gotta reread the books. I think I had a graphic novel, or I was reading the individual issues. I can't remember, but I did read it. And of course I've seen the animated piece, but again, it's been years on both.
Like I said, man, I hate how they changed the ending. And for those of you who haven't seen, I'm gonna give y'all like, do the Damon's 10, you do your 10-second countdown. Go ahead, count it down for me.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You've been told.
All right, so I'm gonna spoil it because it's been out for at least 2 years at this point. They changed it where Hush was not Tommy Elliott, Bruce Wayne's friend. He was the Riddler in the cartoon, in the animated movie. And I was like, this makes no sense. Why would you do this? It was a perfect story as it was. And this is where they go when they change stuff too much. Like, oh, we got to be different. And I'm like, all right, you can be different. To me, Flashpoint Paradox was that perfect, like, we got a good story. We're going to tweak some stuff, and it's going to work. And especially in that continuity, because what happens to Zoom and Flashpoint Paradox in that Suicide Squad Hell to Pay, that pops up then. Remember? It connects. Mm-hmm. He got shot in the head by Thomas Wayne, and he shows up in that like, hey, I'm trying to keep myself from dying and going to hell.
I gotta see it again. I gotta start over.
So those movies were really good because they tied in together. Like this current set of DC movies,
Flashpoint Paradox, I'm gonna say is probably the biggest story to ever hit Flash because they keep going right back to Flashpoint Paradox. Animated stuff. Everything just comes back to.
But it was very popular.
This movie was trying to do Flashpoint Paradox.
But it was their take on Flashpoint Paradox, which I can respect.
And Crisis of Infinite Earths, they were trying to do both at the same time. Basically made it a CW movie. That's what they tried. They made it a CW movie, but didn't do as well as CW would have.
Well, one thing I would say the biggest Flash story, honestly, up until Flashpoint, is probably Crisis on Infinite Earths because that's when Barry Allen dies. So when I first started reading comic books, my uncle Anthony, he was reading it, and he was like, yeah, Barry, the Flash is dead. And I was like, what do you mean the Flash is dead? The Flash is right here. He said, no, that's Wally West, who used to be Kid Flash. The Flash is dead. Barry Allen is dead, and he died in Crisis. And I remember it was a Secret Origins. DC do these Secret Origins books, like I guess it'd be the equivalent of an annual or something like that now. And they did one where like how it was a life of Barry Allen's the Flash, and how he got his powers and all this stuff. And it ends, last chapter is like when the Anti-Monitor was talking. He's like, this last guy though, he was just like talking about his different villains and stuff he fought with. This last guy was dangerous, and how it showed his perspective, like when he was running, and how he was seeing his whole life passing by. He was chasing the Tachyon for Anti-Monitor's cannon and stuff like that, trying to catch it. And he like, Kevin could tell us better than anybody because he's like, man, when he read that, you could see the Flash was getting old, his bones and stuff were breaking, and he was basically dying, killing himself running. Mm-hmm. But in this, he was like going through time and stuff like that. He becomes the lightning bolt that struck him in the end.
Okay.
And I was like, that blew my mind. But of course, Wally West, the Flash I came up with. And then I think William Messenger Lowe's was writing it then. And then Mark Waid, the one who created the Speed Force, as far as I'm concerned, because all the Speed Force stuff comes from his run. And Jeff Johns blew it to a new level, and they got tired of Wally West and brought Barry Allen back, basically.
Okay.
But good times were had by all, man. So, and I know you hadn't seen. I hate you hadn't seen Across the Spider-Verse, but I think the Flash and Across the Spider-Verse they both deal with the multiverse, but they have different messages for our heroes. So I would say this much.
I'm gonna get on that so we can talk about that in better.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say this much, in the Flash, it's very clear, like, hey, you cannot change things. There are fixed points in time. Like Doctor Who, there are fixed points in time that you cannot change.
As you bring that up, what tripped me out, I thought about it. I don't know if they're doing it on purpose, but it was my interpretation. When they said certain things are fixed. And so every time Barry went back in time over and over and over, trying to rescue Sasha Calle, I would have made the same mistake. Let me just put that out there. I would have done the same thing. But anyway, as he was trying to do that, it became more and more clear that one thing that's always is going to happen is that Supergirl dies. Well,
Supergirl and Batman dies. You know, we still in the spoiler talk, y'all. Michael Keaton, Batman 89 dies. Supergirl, Sasha Calle, they died in this movie.
They died. Now, but follow me on this, though. When they said that, when you think about it, because she was like, well, where's Kal? Where's Kal-El? And so eventually Zod said, unfortunately, because he was trying to talk around it for a while, and he said, the infant did not survive, you know? And the grammatical structure, again, takes the blame off of him when you think about it. And people do that a lot.
I don't want to admit that I killed a baby.
But that's what it was. Like, the infant did not survive. But there again, by saying the infant did not survive, we know Zod did it. But you end up, again, you have, in that manner, the death of Superman. You just didn't know it until later. So you still have the death of Superman. And then not only was it the death of Superman, but who killed him? Zod. And in the movie, the first movie where you had the death of Superman, you know, when he's fighting, not the first movie, but when he was fighting Batman versus Superman, where he's actually fighting
Zod was turned
Doomsday is still Zod. The right. Doomsday was Zod's body. So
that's Batman versus Superman. Yeah.
So no matter what, you end up having Zod killing Superman.
Well, I mean, you know,
that to me, I'm like, so you have a fixed point too. That's a fixed thing.
Right. But I like the lesson is that, you know, you just can't change it, and you have to, you know, you have to accept the things you can't change and try and, you know, and plan better, basically. You know, and I did like the redemption arc for alternate universe young Barry, because eventually, you know, he saves himself. He saves Prime older Barry from his villain stuff. Because I thought they were going to do a whole Barry alternate young Barry is going to become Zoom, or that's what I thought they were going to do. Reverse Flash, especially when he first pulled him, he had them yellow colors on. I said, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I saw that, and when they painted over the bat symbol, because he was using Batman's suit, so when they painted over the bat symbol with the Flash, but you can still kind of see the bat beneath it, I'm like, are they about to do Red Death? You know,
you said that in the movie, so you did say in the movie. Are they gonna do Red Death?
You know, so I was trying to figure out exactly which way they were gonna go with this, because this could have, in that moment, that you're right though, Mark, that could have been Zoom, it could have been Reverse Flash, it could have been Red Death. You know.
Well, you know, Red Death would have been.
But they did borrow from. Ultimately, they borrowed from CW with that big ass suit. You know, and it turns out to be Barry. I'm like, dude, they did that. They already did that. Grant Gustin already did it and did it better.
They made Batwoman Red Death.
They did in
CW. So yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, we're gonna see what happens next. I think with well, you posted about this too, and I, you know, this is one thing you posted about. So the next movie, DC movie, should be Blue Beetle. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't have one yet. You know, I'm just trying to see what I can't have a thought on it. If this was a Marvel thing, I would have more to say. But DC right now, unfortunately, is the most disorganized, you know, property that's out there. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. I would have thought Marvel would be the one that would be all sorts of disorganized in terms of making movies, because when you are literally owned by Warner Brothers and all they do is make movies, all they do is entertain, you would have thought that they had the head start.
Well, I mean, first of all, let's comment on Warner Brothers as a whole. And I think I said this last time. First of all, Warner Brothers
already have them. You talk about merchandising. I mean, they had a whole Six Flags I mean,
but like I said, man, Warner Brothers today is not Warner Brothers that we grew up with. I mean, Zaslav, the CEO of Discovery, is now running Warner Brothers, and he run, Discovery was, I watched 90 Day Fiance and I watched cooking shows on Food Network, but now he basically like, well, he's about profit first, and like this Batgirl movie that was gonna also have Michael Keaton in it, he wrote it off for taxes. Like, well, we just never gonna show it. We made it.
And so what you end up having is, what ultimately happens, and this is probably a little bit more predictable for people living that Vinny Chase lifestyle or that Ari Gold lifestyle. It ends up being that you have executives that don't know anything about the comics other than they exist. You have executives up here trying to make decisions and can't get a through line or any level of consistency. And one of the things that makes Marvel so strong is the level of consistency. Everything from 2008 with RDJ Iron Man to the present day, what just came out, first episode of Secret Invasion just dropped. It's all connected. From 2008 to 2023 is consistent. They can't get two movies in. Three. They cannot get three movies totally consistent. That would be wrong too. It's just a lack of consistency across the board, man. They can't, and now they want to undermine all of that. Henry Cavill. I mean, how long was Chris Evans Captain America? Without a question.
Dude,
Henry Cavill was doing a good job as Superman, and they can't even keep him.
I mean,
how many Batman have we gone through? But you've only had one Iron Man,
right? I mean, I agree with you. I mean, they definitely learned from the mistakes of DC. What worked for DC.
Did DC learn from? Okay, they hired James Gunn, but the question is, are they going to let James Gunn do James Gunn's thing and just leave it alone? Say James is in command, like Kevin Feige is in command. Leave James alone. James got.
Well, first of all, it's not James Gunn by himself. It's James Gunn and Peter Safran. And at the same token, they answered to Zaslav, and Zaslav is shown to me that he about profit. I mean, but I remember, I'm gonna tell you, the first time I noticed something was amiss with DC.
It's a damn shame that nobody at Warner Brothers figured out that sometimes.
Well, I mean, it ain't Warner Brothers. I mean, it's Discovery Warner Brothers now. And
remember, even then,
I mean, but it was AT&T Warner Brothers for a while, because when they canceled the Swamp Thing series that's on DC Universe, I knew it was a mistake then. I said, "Oh, this is because that show was good." I'm like, "This show was a good DC Universe show."
Though, when you let's say so I'm a lawyer. Let's say I and my focus, what I tend to like is environmental law. I decide that I want to I want to take over this criminal law firm. Okay, I don't practice criminal law, for example, right? So I can't really come in there and just start bossing and telling everybody this is what you're gonna do, how you're gonna do it, and think it's gonna work. My thing is, if it was profitable enough for me to want it, and it's a thing that I don't know a whole lot about, then what I might want to do is come in. Yes, I own it. Yes, I run it, but let them do what they've been doing that has been profitable. So I bring that up to say this. If I'm walking into Warner Brothers, even if I've done other things in entertainment, if I'm walking into Warner Brothers, Discovery, whatever, and I know there's a thing that does exist and I don't know jack shit about it, but I know that it can make money, the only thing that I'm going to do is allow the people that have been dealing with it to continue dealing with it, as opposed to imposing my vision on it when I already know I don't know jack shit. So it's blind people trying to have a vision. What the fuck is that?
Man, and this is something Kevin has told me years ago. He said, "You got to realize, man, this is a business end of the day. Yeah, we like this story, like anything.
Marvel made it work, but DC did. And they're making more money at it, I'm sure.
I mean, but and it paid off. But at the same token, we see this hate on superhero films now. It's like, superheroes are gonna, which I bet there was been a Western phase, an action movie phase, a spy movie phase, but it's been different phases. But I don't think we have superhero phase quite yet,
But you know what I think, though, to your point about the phases and genres, when you look at Marvel was very good about whatever, even though they're superhero movies, they are also genre. So when you look at Captain America, Winter Soldier, that is political thriller. That is what it is. It has it meets all the elements of a political thriller. And as I love to bring up, Robert Redford being in there from 3 Days of Condor, but him playing the villain, Alexander Pierce, that is a pure political thriller. Now we have Secret Invasion, and as you watch it, it's got all the elements. It is, in fact, a spy drama.
All right, so look, I'm glad you brought up Secret Invasion. So I want to talk about that. So I want to talk about Secret Invasion. So because I'm seeing some hate on Secret Invasion, and I want to get your thoughts on it. But just remind everybody, to remember to smash that like button, subscribe. If you're not already subscribed, because if you subscribe to the stream, then you'll see when it comes on. The fight with time it comes on, you always get a notification, and make sure you hit the notification all. But all right, tell us about Secret Invasion, Damon. I want to hear your take on it.
Okay, spoilers, but I'm not doing a countdown. Fuck it. So,
what me laughing is your countdown right there.
We're just skipping the countdown because we've been so spoiler heavy throughout this thing anyway. With this one, you want to start off with to get caught up. You want to start off with Captain Marvel. I did not. When I first saw Captain Marvel, I wasn't in love with it, but the more I watched it, the more I liked it. And I'm
gonna stop you right there. I'm not saying things wrong with it, but why were you not in love with it?
I don't know why I wasn't. I really and truly don't know why I wasn't. Especially as I watch it now and keep liking it more.
Because it's a good movie. Now I remember people hating on it.
I had no reason to hate. I had no.
Yeah,
I didn't say I'm saying I was not in love with it.
Right. I mean,
but that is not to say it was a bad movie. It was a good movie. It was good.
It was a good movie. But I remember people just like anti-Brie Larson. I'm like,
wow, man. And so that hatred, I didn't like that hate.
I didn't understand. They were putting on her. What's this woman done to y'all?
And so. Honestly, I don't like to say everything is misogynistic, but I felt like, you getting there, and if it wasn't already actually misogynistic, maybe I'm seeing it different, coming from as a man, and I'm not as sensitive on that. But the unjustified level of hate that they were putting on Brie, it's just, it's like this is just hatred for women. But at the same time, you see every time women do anything, there's always this hate on it. When every time you see black people do anything, play any character, there's always this hate on it. Whenever there's always something, there's always this hate that's being sprinkled on it. So whether by gender, by race, there's hate on it. With gay characters and so forth. You can like or not like a character being retconned as gay, but the amount of venom that people pour into it, it goes beyond preference for what you like in your characters in a specific established character, and then it gets into just straight hate. At which point I'm like, if you call, for example, if you call yourself a fan of the X-Men and you have an intolerant view, then you are basically the villain that the X-Men are talking about, and so you should hate yourself. Because you're fucked up.
But a lot of that, I also feel like that's real big with Star Wars fans, because the way they act, y'all act fascist like y'all in the Empire or something like that. Just like, especially was a Rose Trade. I said, man, y'all ran this poor woman off of Twitter. They did that woman completely wrong. And I wasn't the biggest fan of The Last Jedi, but I was like, well, I saw it, I enjoyed it.
Star Wars, and I say this as a Star Wars fan, the Star Wars fans have been the shittiest. They are the shittiest fan base. But
I always think about Kevin Smith's whole thing from Chasing Amy. He said, I'm gonna tell you what the Star Wars really about. It's a blue-eyed blonde hair, it's a black man running the universe, Darth Vader, and then a blue-eyed blonde-haired white boy decide he want to run the motherfucking universe. So he gets a clan of his homies together, and they go up to bust up the Vader's hood, the Death Star.
And then when you remove the helmet, and then it turns out, and now he's good, but now he's a white man. It's like, so now we just all inside.
They said we all want to be white on the inside. So if y'all have not seen
Chasing Amy was hilarious. Yeah. Oh, but since you brought up Chasing Amy, they were doing Mallrats. Do you remember they had Stan Lee doing reading the script from Mallrats in the Captain Marvel?
But they sure did. They sure did.
But
you said Secret Invasion. Start watching Captain Marvel.
So Secret Invasion picks up on where Captain Marvel leaves off. So they ask the questions that come up in Captain Marvel, which is how do you know who's a Skrull and who's not? And it's pertinent to the specific story, but it doesn't seem like a mega issue. So time has gone by because you remember, and I'm glad that they said it this way. Captain Marvel took place in the 90s, and I could not understand, like, why'd you set it in the 90s? Hey, it's nostalgic, I love it, great, but why? So 30 years later, present day, it still has not gone down. So at the end of Captain Marvel, they were saying, I'm gonna help you find a home. Captain Marvel and Nick Fury, they're like, we're gonna help you find a home. Well, Captain Marvel said that, and of course Nick Marvel said that, and Nick is like, with it, fine. He's going to be basically an ally. We know later on, we've seen, and I think that was in one of the Spider-Man movies at the end, that Nick Fury has been
Far From Home.
Nick Fury has been in space. Okay. Right. And you've had a Skrull, and I think it was Talos passing himself off as Nick Fury for a while. So that lets us know that who we thought was Nick Fury, not in every movie, but who we thought was Nick Fury probably was not, post
in that movie, because Far From Home was immediately post Endgame. So I want to say the last time we saw the real Nick Fury on Earth was probably at Tony Stark's funeral at Endgame.
Yeah,
and then we see Nick Fury in Far From Home, and that ends up being Talos the Skrull, and then we see Nick Fury in the orbiting space station, which Sword they call it Saber now.
Yeah. So basically, why all of that is pertinent is the big story, action story that you had in Captain Marvel leads into this spy movie. It's a spy movie because they have not delivered on a home, and so now you have, as you would imagine, rising factions among the Skrulls saying, "Hey, they said that they were going to deliver on bringing us a home. We still don't have a home, so fuck it. There's Earth. Earth is going to be our home." And so they've decided to do that. And so how do you take over Earth? They're not going to do it the Loki way. They're not going to do it the Thanos way. They're going to just infiltrate because they are Skrulls and they can shapeshift, and that makes the most sense. So they start infiltrating. And so the question is, how many Skrulls are there? Where have they gone? Who have they been, mimicking all this time? You talk about Hydra and the way Hydra was able to get in S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh yeah, Hail Hydra.
Well, Skrulls, they did it better. They did the same thing better. Instead of just, pretending we are going, having S.H.I.E.L.D. members who are double agents and so forth, the Skrulls fucking became S.H.I.E.L.D. members and, took out some and then replaced them.
And this is what gets me, because I was watching Blur Cave yesterday show, and they were like, this is put out there, Everett K. Ross, how long has he been a Skrull?
Yeah, that's a good
I say when Secret Invasion first started and I saw Everett K. Ross, and I was like, last time I saw him, he was with Wakandans. And then it turns out it wasn't Everett K. Ross. So I believe they were like, well, he's not out, so let's take his place. That's what I believe happened.
I gotta rewatch stuff. I'm not gonna lie to you. Having seen Secret Invasion, it puts things in question. Like now I gotta rewatch things. Now they talked about Fury. They said he hasn't been the same since the blip. So that would give us that's what makes me think that when we saw Fury, I think at the end of Endgame, that had to have been the real one, the real Fury paying his real respects to the death of Iron Man.
And I think also, I think the blip caused a lot of trauma. Especially think about it. Yeah. 5 years have passed and people have died. I think it was definitely illustrated in WandaVision. When Monica Rambeau came back and her mama was dead, like what? Her mom, you come back and ain't no telling what's gonna change in your life. And for Fury, what they say in Secret Invasion, Fury spent his whole life trying to plan out stuff to be prepared. And then Thanos came along. How do you prepare for somebody erasing half the life of the universe?
But then you remember my man, Iron Man he was so pissed off. He was like, this shit is what I was planning for. You know, it's like, yeah, I fucked up on Ultron and I took a lot of shit for it, but I was right. You know,
the thing
and
is, I mean,
I ain't gonna lie. When I was watching the Infinity War, I was like, damn, I miss Ultron.
But I'm gonna put it like this, man. I mean, Ultron would have stopped Thanos. I mean,
he would not have.
The fact is,
but they could have put a hurting on Thanos' army. He would have done that. Reduced the.
Okay. That's a valid point. I'll give you that. But here's my thing. Fury did not fail because the Avengers team defeated Thanos. So the fact that he put them in effect, he actually succeeded. Now there was some casualties there. We aren't, it was some hits, some bloody lips there, but they succeeded.
That's what you would expect.
I mean, I'm just saying the Avengers Initiative basically saved the universe.
Mm-hmm.
They did, or they have the universe was gone.
Mm-hmm. And they saved it, they restored it, they've saved it, and they restored it.
Right.
So both happened. So
let me ask you this: so, what do you think Fury is working on in Saber now? I mean, is he trying to come up with like an early warning defense system so no alien can get to Earth? You think that's what he's working on?
I don't know. Right now, I can't really tell what he's working on. He was out there for a while. I think he was. I don't know. I don't know what he was doing up there, and I think that's the big problem that a lot of people had. Is that he removed himself from the game, and while people didn't hate that, it's just him coming back. He's not the same Fury as he was before, so they think, but he still got some old skills left.
Which I've heard hints of accusations of ageism in this. Like, oh, you're saying because this man is because in real life, Samuel Jackson is 74 years old. They're like, oh, you saying. Is this
I don't
ageism?
know where ageism. I don't know who would have an issue as far as ageism is concerned. I mean, okay, think of it this way: my uncle, who served in the Vietnam War, is in his like late 70s, 80s, something like that. Yeah, I think he's in his 80s. Okay, now you take guys that were in that same war in Vietnam, and they were in their 20s. And they were in special forces, and they were doing all the wild stuff the special forces was doing. There are many books on it. One of them that's one of the wildest I've read was by Major Plaster about SOG, MACV SOG, which is the precursor to JSOC. So you had SEALs.
You got to break that down for regular people, Damon.
Okay, my bad. JSOC, Joint Special Operations Command. So anyway. That's where you have Navy SEALs, Delta, you have Green Berets, Rangers, all of that special operation stuff. It is housed inside of a thing we call SOCOM, and then there's also Joint Special Operations Command, which handles other aspects of it. But the bottom line that I'm getting into is when you hear special operations, you hear special forces, you hear about people doing wild and, very good at it, not just wild, but just wild in terms of how dangerous, high risk type of stuff that they were doing. That required a lot of specialization. You are not going to see people in their 80s still doing what they were doing in their 20s. You're not going to see, even if you look at somebody like Michael Jordan at his current age cannot do what Michael Jordan did in 1992. It's not that. He just cannot. He's the same man. He still has the same plays in his head, but I guarantee you he cannot. I've been in the gym in my 40s. And I'm trying to get back to where I was living. My max bench at 27 was 275 pounds. I'm trying to get back to that. And where I am now, because my life has been a little bit different, it's been a little bit more sedentary. It's been more reading and all of that, trying to get back into that. I am not where I was. And so I'm in the gym like every day now, just trying to get back to my old weight, So bottom line is, in terms of ageism, there is a thing called you get older. It's true. You don't look the same. You don't move the same. Nothing. So, you get right over.
I know.
And then we're in Birmingham too. Ageism works differently. Ageism works like if you're not old, if you weren't babysitting Martin Luther King, then you clearly couldn't know what you're talking about because you're not old enough to know anything.
All right, well, I'm gonna leave that on a note, but I will say this.
I said that.
I mean, but I will say that I've noticed it too. But here's an experience that we can relate, and I'm gonna tell a cleaner version of the story. You and I used to go to homecoming every year.
Yes.
For those of y'all don't know, me and Damon Damon and I both went to Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia. We go to homecoming. We've seen homecoming grow exponentially since we graduated.
It is big.
But the stuff we should do at homecoming in our 20s, we can't necessarily do at our current age. Because back then,
you can't do at your current age because I can still do it.
Sir,
I can take care of you.
You have to take care of me, and I have to take care of you, sir. So to the point, now I come like, hey, we gotta have some coconut water, we gotta have some vitamins, when and a friend every morning says, it's that bounce back, man. That you don't bounce back the way you used to,
Yeah.
And I used to use Charlie Sheen as an example. Just said Charlie Sheen's trying to act like he's still in his 20s, doing cocaine and having sex with porn stars and prostitutes in the room. You can't do that no more.
Dude, I remember the first time I had a hangover, I did not know what was happening to me. Like, what is this? Why does my head hurt? I didn't do anything except go drinking yesterday, and that's never been a problem. Why does my head hurt today?
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, I mean,
it's the little things, and that wall that hits when you turn 30. Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, things happen.
I mean, you be like, man, I got to adjust, But the good news is, people live longer, you eat healthier and stuff like that. I'm like, And I was at my current girlfriend at her family reunion. I was talking to her cousin's boyfriend. He was telling me, man, he told me something. I'm gonna share about the whole house in her group, and I had to look this up. He's like, man, if you go to a sauna, like I think 3 to 4 times a week, or like 4 to 7 times a week, and get like stay there for 30 minutes, it cuts down on like morbidity by like 40%. I'm like, what? I actually looked it up. It's actually on USA. Like search sauna morbidity, you'll see it. Then I found out it's this whole hot works thing. Have you heard of that yet?
No, not yet.
So hot work is basically all right. It's you've heard of hot yoga before, right?
I've heard of that.
Okay, so it's hot yoga, but other exercise. And that thing called hot works, where you basically go put yourself in a box. It's a sauna box, but you do workouts. They got like hot iso, you do isometric workouts, hot yoga, hot Pilates, hot barre, the barre, the ballet kind of training and stuff like that. And they got hot HIIT. HIIT is a high intensity training workout. Because he told me this randomly, we just talking, and I was like, let me look this up. I was like, oh shit, he's right. Oh damn, there's a whole movement on this, I was like, okay, so I'm like looking at trying to do my first hot work, probably hot iso, because I think he'll be in the box for like 30-40 minutes, And have you ever been to a real yoga workout?
Yeah. Yeah.
So real yoga workout is hard. Like
you've been there. Much harder. I thought when I first did it, I was living in Montgomery at the time, and the only thing that I did was go to work and lift weights because that's all there is to do at the time. Mm-hmm. And so there is a yoga thing going, yoga class at my gym. And so I was like, you know what? I just want to stretch. I've lifted weights or whatever all day. So I'm just going to go in there and get this stretch, close it out. Man, oh my God, that wore me out so much. Yoga is no joke. Yoga is a workout.
I'm telling you, yoga, and Curtis told me, they said, man, you go to this yoga workout, it ain't doing nothing but breathing in your body weight. I mean, and I'm like, I went to that thing. I said, man, you got to be holding yourself in positions. Yeah. You're going to feel muscles you hadn't even used. And that's what yoga does. Laquita told me years ago, yoga works muscles that you don't even know you have. And you're just going to maintain yourself on it. I'm like, oh, okay.
I found myself falling down out of breath.
Exactly. You be falling out of breath. And I know you in person. You a strong dude, man. You a strong dude. You ain't, y'all, David is a strong dude. Man. You don't want to get in a fight with David. I'll be honest with y'all. David will mess you up. If David be in the military, you want to take David out quick. Because if you let David get on you, he heavy, he's strong, he been in the military, David gonna fuck you up.
And I just chill, man. I just chill.
Now Damon don't fight, he don't fight, but he could do it if he need to.
That's the thing, man. You get grown, you don't always have to. I don't surround myself with people that I would have to do that. But I'll be honest with you, man. It's like when I was in the gym, thinking again about superheroes and stuff like that, working hard. and I was doing some dumbbell presses, and I finally, I had been pushing myself, and I finally hit my goal where I was moving two dumbbells, 100-pound dumbbells, and I was doing like that. And so after I got up, I was like, wait a minute, if I can move a 100-pound dumbbell like that, then that means at any given moment from a standing position, I could throw a 100-pound punch and just do it. And I'm like, wow. And that kept me motivated and kept me building and getting stronger and stronger. Because once you hit a moment like that, it's something. And then when you walk around the mall or anything like that, not that you're going to do anything to anybody, but you can look at any given person around you and be like, I got this. If something jumps, I got it.
And then with that being said, yoga still wore him out. That's what I'm saying. Yoga wore him out. Kick my ass. So yeah, so you get a chance to do check out HotWorks. I do it because I think I'm gonna try it. They offer like a free class at least, and they got one in downtown Birmingham. They got one in Hoover. So y'all watching House of Nurture, wherever you're at, just do a search for HotWorks and see that. But back to Secret Invasion. So let me ask you something, David. Would you recommend Secret Invasion? Because I've been seeing a lot of hate on it. Would you recommend it?
Yes. All right. First of all, I love spy movies. Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, Good Shepherd. It's got some of the shots that you will see in the movie. In the movie, and Secret Invasion, some of the shots that you see is just like because this is a spy movie and or spy series, and they pull from that genre. And Ant-Man was a heist movie. So was Endgame. Endgame was a heist movie, time heist.
Time heist, yeah, say right, time heist.
It's a time heist movie. What do you call it? When you talk about Inception, Inception is a heist movie.
Why did I just see this article? They were talking about the Inception being a dream heist.
Mm-hmm. It's just a different kind of heist. And of course, the classic heist that we know being Ocean's 12, 11, all that. And the movie itself named Heist. We've seen on Netflix the one with Tokyo that I love so much. You know what I'm trying to say? Money Heist. So all of those were genre, the genre of heist movies. This is a spy movie. And just because it's got Skrulls in it, don't think that this ain't what it is. So that's what you're looking for. If you're looking for the big bang, the big explosion, that was Captain Marvel. That was a different thing. And so the stuff that happened in Captain Marvel leads into this spy story that's saying, we need a new home. We are Skrulls, and this is what we're going to do. And the whole big bang action of that you see in I'm trying to say it in Captain Marvel, that was because people knew, the Kree knew exactly what the Skrulls could do in terms of going into a planet and just taking over shit if they
right. And watching Captain Marvel, having read, now Kree Skrull Wars is before my time, y'all. So yeah, but I read stories, and I read did you read Operation Galactic Storm? Were you reading books when that came out?
I wasn't into those space ones at the time.
Yeah. I
mean, the only space I did was like with Lalandra, the Shi'ar Empire.
Yeah. I mean, and that was the Shi'ar, but I mean, Skrulls are dangerous. But were you reading when Bendis did Secret Invasion? You were actually reading it.
I did. I read that.
So that showed how dangerous Skrulls are. And I think a lot of people are disappointed. A lot of comic fans are saying, well, this is not the Bendis Secret Invasion. I'm like, they can't do that, first of all, because that'd be a whole movie. A series that'd be a whole movie trilogy.
That would, if they did a Bendis Secret Invasion, it would not be a continuation of the current MCU. It would be damn near a retcon of MCU.
Exactly. So they can't do that. Then people are like, oh, well, this is going to set up Norman Osborn for the MCU because, and Secret Invasion has got to be at least 10 years.
You cannot see that.
Yeah, there's a Thunderbolts movie coming, but they're going to use Contessa as to set it up instead of Norman. They're going to use Contessa to set up this version of it.
Yeah,
but for those who
was she Madam Hydra? Or is that different?
Yeah, she became, when Hickman started writing Secret Warriors with Bendis, she became Madam Hydra.
Okay, yeah,
or she was something else.
Well, they have her rocking. She's rocking purple now more than green, right? I think I saw her in the first appearance. Saw her rocking green, and so
right. But for those of you who hadn't read the Bendis Secret Invasion, read it. It is one of the best story arcs Marvel did. You know, it really, and what was so good about it, changed everything about the Marvel Comics universe. I mean, at the end of the day, the people like Tony Stark were out and Norman Osborn was in. I'm like, what the heck is this? Because Norman Osborn, you know, he saved the world from the Skrulls. So I've heard people saying this is how Norman Osborn gets introduced. I doubt it. But I think there are going to be repercussions from let's talk about the end of the Secret Invasion. First episode of Secret Invasion. Did you see the ending coming? Because I didn't. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't see it coming.
I did not see it coming. And this, to me, is one of those moments. They used her, Maria, in the same way that Drew Barrymore was used in the first Scream movie. You remember they killed Drew quick, right?
And people thought Drew Barrymore was going to be in Scream.
And you thought when you see Drew Barrymore, you're thinking that she's gonna make it. They killed her in the opening sequence, and they did that to let you know, hey, all bets are off. Whoever's gonna die is gonna die. Period. So right here, when you see Maria, she buys it, like she gets killed. It's like, oh, so whoever get,
and now you gotta be wondering, man. I'm like, will this be Samuel Jackson's last thing? Because he might die at the end of this. Damn, I didn't think about it till you said it, but the fact that they killed Maria Hill like that, you know, and y'all need to watch if you haven't seen it, because I'm like, hey, all bets are off.
Now, one thing I did say, I'm gonna say this just to throw this out there. When I had fun, I was doing a double feature and decided to watch. I went from Captain Marvel to Secret Invasion, and then right after, I think that's what I did. But anyway. So like right after I watched Captain Marvel, one day I just decided to watch Winter Soldier, and it's kind of funny because I remember him saying it, you know, a throwaway line, and it stuck with me. But in Captain Marvel at the end, you see, you know, the cat, the Flurkin, scratch his eye, and so it's like, oh, it's just a scratch, and everybody's like, no, it's not.
Ain't no scratch.
And so then in Winter Soldier, you know, when they're asking about, you know, well, what happened to your eye? No. He said, the last time I trusted somebody, I lost an eye. Right. And so, you know, it was in reference to that cat. And you would have thought, since Winter Soldier is about somebody that did something on some mission, and it was just something as simple as a cat scratched his eye out.
I remember, I think I saw somebody been mad about that recently. I think Steve Barnes, who was a great writer, you know, married to Tony Dude, who's also a great writer. I think he complained about that. He's like, I don't remember. I had to find it, but, you know, and I like Steve Barnes, but Steve Barnes is pretty like, I don't like anything that makes black men look bad in these movies. He is completely on that, and he's to the point. If a black character gets killed in something in the beginning of it, he gonna turn it off. He stopped watching Picard because in the first season of Picard, that black guy that was dating Data's daughter got killed. And he was like, I turned it off. So you had to think about it.
Okay, now I gotta look at it all over again.
You gotta look at it all over again, but you know that happened. So I don't think he complained about it. Like, this is a missed moment. Why they had him get emasculated by this cat? You know, this even though it was an alien cat. You know, still. But
I can accept humor. I can accept humor here and there as long as you're not just trying to reduce the character, you know, that kind of thing. For black characters, my standard is that, you know, I get tired of seeing them die first. You know, that lets me know that you just have no real regard for them. You don't want to even write a black character. You know, but if they die first in the context of what's going on in the movie and there were other black characters in said movie, then I'm fine. You know, I mean, as long as it makes sense in the context of the story that we're telling, you know, I'm good then. But
well, and it's funny you said that because Juneteenth was last week on Monday, June 19th.
Yeah.
And I went to go see The Blackening. Have you seen The Blackening yet?
Not yet.
So do you know what The Blackening is about?
All black cast in a horror movie, and who gonna die first?
Yeah, so we can all die first. That's the title. We can all die first. I mean, it's funny. It is very black, and I mean, and you know, for those black culture is very nuanced. You know, and you can lose your black card for a variety of things. You speak. In fact, I took an Uber today, and I started the Uber driver, and I was in that old Chris Rock joke. You know, I ain't gonna say everything because I want Sergio to get demonetized, but he was like, black folks, it'd be two black people, one going to college, one get out of prison. The guy going to prison. Hey man, how you doing, man? It's good to see you. Happy to have you back on the block. Give me a hug, man. You got your weight up on jail. Black man going to cops, man. Fuck you, man. You know, man. What you think you can beat me? You can beat me down because you're going to college? You think you're supposed to go to college? That's what you can lose your black card for stupid stuff. And the black and then kind of focuses on that.
Okay.
Like playing spades and you renege.
Oh yeah, that's the thing.
Or not knowing how to play spades.
You know, I was thinking about black culture. I cracked a joke. It was on Facebook, and this was a mixed company on this particular joke. Well, no, not a particular joke. A white woman posted something. She was just saying, you know, it's okay to understand about the whole thing with the submarine and stuff like that, and how everybody had jokes. How everybody had jokes about the submarine, or some people feeling really sad about the situation with the little submersible, whatever. And she said that, you know, it's okay that you can recognize both sides. And so, from my comment, you know, I was like, yeah, I'm totally comfortable with that. You know, black community, we've been on fire with these jokes, man, just one after another. And I'm proud of the way we've been able to come with joke after joke and this amount of time on such short notice. So, you know, some people will look at it as like, well, you know, that's death. You don't want to be like laughing at death and things like that. And so that, you know, I started analyzing the humor. Why is this thing with the submarine so funny to me? And to me, it's stuff that comes out of black culture, the things that we suffer through, the things that we have to deal with. Yeah. You know, like that whole thing with the joystick, you know, the little PlayStation thing, right? Uh-huh. And so, you know, my thing is, as I look at it, I think about how so many black people, you know, talented, know so much, so brilliant, but they would have to struggle to get a bank loan to start a business. And they would have to explain every step of the way what they're trying to do.
Sam Wilson from Captain America and Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Oh yeah, say the world
universe, and you ain't gonna give me no loan, man.
Right. I think about like, even, you know, with me, you know, the stuff that I've dealt with when I've applied for jobs, you know, things like that. And dealing with, you know, environmental law. And I'm like, you know, yeah, I was a lawyer when I joined the Army. I did that and was an Army officer, subject matter expert, chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear, you know, events, search and rescue, everything else. And, you know, I was like, yes, I've litigated cases. I've defended criminals in cases, handled voting rights and election law cases on the civil side, also did family law cases, blah, 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 blah. And then I still had to deal with all this scrutiny, like, I wonder, can he write a brief? You know, it's like, that is so basic to what you're already doing. I just gave you all the stuff that I've done. And it's still this thing where you have to justify that you can do a thing. So put a pin in that. Now we have this situation with a submarine. They say we have an empty propane tank and a PlayStation joystick, and we're gonna sail this thing into the water, and we want to charge you $250,000 a head to do that. And they're like, "Oh, that's a good idea." No black man could have done that.
My girlfriend told me about it because I was like, I don't understand what this sub thing here about talking. She explained she spent $250,000, like $250,000. The hell?
Yes. I'm like, what? You know, I'm not laughing.
And then I heard he
cheaped
out on the safety precautions that he could have actually reinforced it, but he chose not to, you know.
Right.
Trying to save a buck.
And so now people try and clean it up. Oh, but you know, it was for science. It was so expensive because it was for science. Let's think about that. It's for science. Well, didn't they just get sued about some safety protocols that they wouldn't follow? Safety protocols being engineering being science. So you mean to tell me we're dealing with scientists who ignore science? And gonna charge you $250,000 for it. I guarantee you, if I got together with my friends and I actually found some actual real good, you know, so engineers, mechanical engineers, and let's say it was their first project. You know, but they wanted, and they did a good job. They looked at all the safety regulations. I handled the law on it, made sure we're following all the requirements. and we did all that and did a submarine and said, we'll charge you $100,000, not $250,000. We'll charge you $100,000. We will have questions. There would be a lot of questions. We would not be in a position to put your life at risk because you would scrutinize the hell out of us. But these other people got no level of scrutiny and then died. And I think that they're already hiring again, talking about they have an immediate opening for a sub pilot.
Bro,
yeah, okay.
And I would say this much: I'm not making light of it because as soon as my girlfriend told me about that, I'm like, oh snap, that's terrible. Because first of all, don't nobody know what's under. You know, we always talk about space, the final frontier.
Yes,
final frontier right here, water, man. Ocean. You don't know what's down there. In there. You don't know.
You don't know.
I like watching YouTube videos.
Like, would you rather go to space or go under the water? It's like you don't have things trying to eat you in space.
You know what? That's my point. Because things will eat you down there, man.
They will.
Things will eat you. Like I was watching this little video, best food review show ever. And the guy, he was like Vietnam and all these kind of countries like that, and they'll like get stuff like an isopod, you know, and they'll cook it and eat it. But I'm like, it's like a giant like shrimp roach. I'm like, I didn't even know this thing even existed, but people like go out in the deep waters of Cambodia and South Asian Sea and get this stuff. You don't know what's down there.
You do not. I enjoy swimming. I really do. I've been able to swim for years, obviously. But, there's certain things I just won't do. I've gone when I was younger, swimming out. I said this, I think, somewhere on Facebook that, there is a group of us guys, we all wanted to be Navy SEALs. This was back when we were in high school, junior ROTC, and we would go to Fort Walton Beach every year because we were seeing Eglin Air Force Base and Hurlburt Air Force Base. Mm-hmm. So, of course, we would hit the beach, and we wanted to be SEALs. So we just go, since we're on the beach, swim out as far as we could. We would do that knowing that the water was constantly pulling you back into the ocean. And so our idea of it was we're going to swim out as far as we can, even if we're getting tired. And then knowing that we're going to swim the harder swim back to the ocean, to the beach. We would do that. I would not do that now. Because
I thought that was too bright when y'all did that. To be perfectly honest,
it was fun back then. But we even figured out, like, one of my friends was like, "Hey, you got to swim in this way in order to cut back." And I'm like, "All right, cool." So we tried it. Either way, I'm sitting here in front of you, so it worked. I didn't drown.
So you alive? He's like, I ain't doing that again, though.
I'm not doing it again because of my new feeling. That I look at the water. If I cannot see the bottom of the water, I'm not going into it because I don't know what's down there. And then even if I can, because I was in Cancun as an adult, and I went, and it was, oh my God, the water's beautiful, and it was so clear. It's like on from a movie or something, or like somebody painted it. But even then, I was going out so far, and I would ask myself, if some kind of shark was to come at me right now, a little baby shark, and was to try to bite me, could I outrun it from here? If the answer was no, I would pull back. I will go swimming in the pool. I will go swimming. We can do that, but I'm not playing. See, that's the thing that one thing that we do have in Black culture, and we do have an appreciation. And this is for multiple reasons. There's some racist reasons why Black people have the relationship that we have with the environment. I can get into that, but not right now. We don't have the time. But there are things that Black people were put through while we have a particular relationship with going outside that white people don't have. The idea of jogging is different for Black people than for white people for, various reasons. But one thing that we just going to have, racism aside, we will have some kind of pragmatic respect for nature. And we don't have the expectation that we can go play with nature and nature is just going to be the one that kowtows to us. We know that, hey, there is a line. And that nature can overpower us. We have some dominion over nature, but nature is pretty strong too. Respect that, And
I agree with that. And I mean, as far as the water, I recently went to Aruba, and that was some of the prettiest water I've ever seen. But man, I would walk out, because I'm not a strongest swimmer. I go out so far, but all right, at that point where I can't feel that I can't immediately get on the ground. Nope, I'm finna go back, man, because I ain't forget. My famous stories when I went to I was in Rio de Janeiro for that when I was in grad school for that field study. We were studying the Olympics coming in, the buildings they're developing for that. Yeah. And I went and listened to somebody of the other persuasion about getting in this water. This wave hit me and knocked me down, and I lost my glasses.
Oh, yeah.
And I was pissed the last 24 hours in South America because I could not see that.
We'll never do this again.
I never do this again, man. I never do this again. In fact, my sister Shekinah, she's like, you should have got some goggles. I need to get me. I should have had some goggles this trip right there. But now to the point, I ain't put myself in a position where I'm gonna get knocked down. By the time I'm just never in a position like that.
You found a limitation and stop. In the Army, we call that the limit of my advance. There's only, like, depending upon what it is you're doing, you're going so far and stop. Like, this is as far as where you're going. What is your limit?
Right.
Respect your limit. There's nothing wrong with having a limit. You can push limits, you can explore limits, but respect it.
All right. I see Elle is saying, hey.
Hey, how you doing?
And let's see, saw Twitter post like Boo being eaten by a shark. Hell, Benny just said. And that looks like I think that's probably Ben Hatchett right there. That may be Ben Hatchett.
Is it?
Maybe. I don't know. But you know what? I want to bring something else up that I think a post we had, because that made me think about it. Look, I just saw this on Twitter today. The Thing was released 41 years ago today. And it's science fiction horror movie making.
See, why y'all gotta put math in it? I love math, but until y'all start talking about 41 years ago today, 30 years ago, I'm like, no, man.
I mean, it actually Blade Runner was released today too, apparently. And both of these movies did horribly back then, 83, I guess. But now they're considered like, cultural classics. So The Thing.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on The Thing?
I thought you were going to ask the question about if the Blob and The Thing got into a fight.
Oh, we'll get to that. You can start with that because we talked about that before too.
But then we also talked about what about the xenomorphs, The Thing versus the xenomorph. We talked about that too.
Give it to me. I want to hear your rationale, because I did ask the question, like, if The Thing fought the Blob, which one would win?
Blob would win.
You said Blob would win.
Blob would win. I literally, when that conversation came up, I'm like, I gotta rewatch the Blob, and I bought it, watched it on on YouTube, whatever. And the thing about the Blob, you gotta rewatch it. When the Blob would come, it was kind of slow. Eventually, it could kind of whip out and do whatever and reach out, and it was sentient. It could engage people. But you're thinking about something that's pretty slow and all of that. But the Blob was acidic, effectively. So as soon as it touches you, you are being burned, like just completely being burned, dissolved, whatever. And eventually, you see where it's taking over bodies. You can see people kind of pushing out, and that's the cover art on it, or the movie poster. Somebody kind of pushing out because he died and his body was still trying to, get out or whatever. But it dissolves you on contact. The Thing, on the other hand, also an alien. The Thing, it could mimic you down to your cellular level and would attack you and stuff, but it could copy you down to your cells. It could not copy inorganic material. So, like, I have a brace, because I used to wear braces. So I have it in the back of my my bottom teeth on my jawline, and I said jawline, but the back of my bottom teeth. And so, to prove that I am me, I would have to show that metal piece is there, because the Thing, it can copy my cells, but it can't copy that inorganic wiring that's in me. So that's how you could distinguish one person from another, the filling in your teeth and all of that. So The Thing, I bring that up to say this: it was lethal, but because it all it was doing was copying you, and the Blob is dissolving you. As soon as the Thing tries to copy a Blob, it would have already been,
look at this color right here, though. The OG Blob was clear. Some people became more red. Also, the OG Blob was a color movie, not black and white.
Okay.
And then some people think it was black and white movie because most people have black and white TVs. but you're talking about, I've seen the original Blob
on contact, and so the Thing wouldn't be able to copy it because it's just being dissolved. And I think that it would have the same problem with xenomorphs that before it could,
right? Because somebody threw that in there. Like, what about a xenomorph?
The xenomorphs had that acid blood, and so that's it.
So because the Thing is not invulnerable, and it has to assimilate you, you think it would? You think it couldn't assimilate a xenomorph or the Blob?
It could not assimilate a xenomorph.
I mean, personally, I'd rather have to deal with the xenomorph is the last thing I want to deal with. Let me just tell y'all that now. I love horror stuff, but I'm like, I ain't trying to fuck with no xenomorph. That's the last thing.
The thing would scare me more. The thing would scare me more.
The thing is not going. The thing is my second greatest fear. But at least the blob, I feel like we have a better chance to get away from the blob. If it don't sneak up on us.
The illusion of control.
The thing was the blob comic. I cop that.
Yeah. I mean, you could get
the illusion of control.
The problem with the blob, okay, because I was always wondering, when you think about it, it's like in Jaws, how is this really a problem? It's a shark that's not coming on land. So stay the fuck out the water. Problem solved. The blob is slow, so just stay out of the area. And that's the problem. You would have to know that, and you'd have to believe it. And that was the problem with the blob and Jaws, is that both of them required people to look at a problem and say, this is a problem. I will not engage in this manner. For the people just didn't think that the blob existed. And it was just killing people quietly. Once they did figure it out, then it was like, oh shit, but they didn't leave. They were being contained.
Well, Ben says I wouldn't. I guess he's responsible to the thing versus the blob coming. I cop that. So now I know who this is now. I know who this is.
That's him. Like 504, Benny 504.
That's New Orleans area code. Yeah,
that's him.
Yep,
I
know who that is now.
You know who it is now.
But I mean, I often wondered like who. Yeah. But I mean, people hated the thing when it came out. I watched this like documentary on it.
Man.
People said that was like that John Carpenter had made a horror movie porn. And it was, it was the video nasty, which it is. The thing is a nasty movie. I would not recommend you let kids watch the thing. I read the 1980s version or the 2011 version, because the 2011 version, even though people complain about it, is sci-fi.
With Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Yeah,
I love that, man. I enjoy both.
Man, first of all, I'm gonna say this, man. That death, the dude that played the blonde haired dude that plays on NCIS Los Angeles, Olsen is his name.
I don't know. Wait. Well, I don't know because I don't watch that show.
He had the worst death I've ever seen in a horror movie. Period. With the thing crawled over to him trying to bond with him, and then it was burnt up and had the two heads and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. I think I know.
I like this is a terrible way to die. That is one of the worst movie deaths I've ever seen.
That is awful. Yeah.
The blob is sneaky, can move through waters and pipes and stuff. True. The blob is sneaky.
And that was part of the reason why it couldn't be, that people didn't even know that it was there, because it was moving quietly and discreetly. It was moving through pipes and shit like that, under the street, in the sewers, through inside of walls, and then expose itself on the attack. It was actually a good, now I think, as I think about it, it was like a good strategy. It's like, that sounds like an actual strategy.
The blob is thinking,
remain hidden until you attack, strike, and get out. That's a real thing.
And somebody, I saw it on Twitter, they said your horror movie trilogy is like Alien, The Thing, and I forgot what the last movie was, but basically it was stuff that can kill you or eat you, trying to eat you and kill you, basically. Eat you, kill you, consume you, take over you.
Okay.
And I don't want to mess with none of them, but I enjoy the stories. But they said the Thing was it was critically panned. It didn't make no money, but now it's like considered one of the greatest horror movies of all time now. And John Carpenter said John Carpenter was basically ruined off of the thing. They took the next movie he was supposed to do. They took it from him. The thing did so poorly in the box office.
People, to me, they are so quick to just disparage a movie and tear things down. I don't know if people just feel, I don't know what people feel when they do that. Like they just need to destroy it, destroy a thing. It's like, have fun with it, enjoy it. I just enjoy most things. Every once in a while, just not like a thing, but
cult classic. It is a cult classic.
Now, when Mr. Hanchett says it's a classic, it's a damn classic.
We're gonna be there, like I said. I had to wait until we get the regular schedule back up where I actually get to produce my own show completely. But I'm gonna have to get Ben on here because, for y'all don't know, Ben is the best critic I know. Because people said, I watched last week's episode. Ruben was like, read everything. I don't read everything, but Ben pretty much watch everything, and that's true.
I'm gonna tell you how I feel about Ben. Ben, I feel, is my polar opposite. Ben hate everything. I love everything. And neither one, I don't know if either one of those are completely realistic. But if Ben and I both agree on something, like if we both of us agreeing that a show is good or a comic is good, it's good.
And I saw him talking earlier. He said From is good and Lazarus Project is good. I've been hearing a lot of people talking about From.
I haven't seen Lazarus Project yet. I saw the commercial. Is that on TNT?
It's on TNT. In fact, okay, I watched the first 2 episodes. It's British.
Okay, I gotta find a way to stream it and just so I can binge it.
Figure, Jordan. If I don't like a movie, but others do, I'm happy for them. I mean, hey, yeah, I'm not gonna shit on your happiness, slave. Now, some stuff I'm gonna tell you a perfect example. And Damon, you'll like this. I really asked this about for you. I was on Twitter last night or some night this week, and I said, hey, and I already said on the House of Nerd, I was gonna get you something for your birthday, but I said, I'm just gonna put this question out there. You said something to me, and I was like, let me just check on this real quick. Okay. I said, for a birthday gift, would y'all rather have Immortal Hulk or King in Black? Somebody replied to my tweet and blocked me and said, I'm blocking this dude. They replied and blocked me. They didn't answer my question at all. I'm like, what the hell?
Okay.
Is it? Yeah, I don't watch channels. I saw Lazarus Project. Oh, well. So yeah, Lazarus Project is British, so that makes sense that it came out last year. So I'm 2 episodes into it. It is good though.
Okay.
So it is good. So we got our thing out the way. So what about Blade Runner? What are your thoughts on Blade Runner? That's also celebrating the anniversary.
Okay. I like Blade Runner. I still like Blade Runner, and it is obviously a classic for obvious reasons. That's the best I can really say about it. I don't have much to say. I know that people always had the question, whether or not dude was a replicant.
Decker was a replicant in that.
Decker, yeah. So Decker. It's like, was he a replicant? And hey, whatever. And then of course, by the time the new movie came out, I think that they confirmed it. It's like, yeah, I think they did confirm and say that he was.
So I tried to watch the Blade Runner.
I gotta watch it both again.
I can't do it, man. I fell asleep on it, man. I'm ashamed to admit that, but I fell asleep on the new Blade. I don't know if I was just tired, I just didn't hold my attention. But the original Blade Runner, I mean, it looks, I mean, when I first saw the commercial for that when I was a little kid, my dad used to watch a lot of movies. People ask how I saw so much stuff when I was a kid, because my dad, he used to tape stuff all the time. Yeah. He get cable, he tape stuff and fill up tape. And then my aunt, she used to rent stuff out all the time. And her ex-husband now, so I was like, people was always watching stuff and taping it. So that's how I could see stuff I shouldn't have seen when I was a kid, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
But it looked just like spectacular. And to me, Blade Runner has some really good lines in it, especially Rutger Hauer's line. Like, I've seen things you wouldn't believe. End of it. Or,
I'll tell you my movie that I like, and it's in the same universe, literally, with Soldier with Kurt Russell. That was good, yeah. I buffed that. That was my thing. And if I could get a movie now that explored humans, replicants, genetically engineered. So
this sounds like Battlestar Galactica. I'm gonna tell you that what it sounds like. Battlestar Galactica. It sounds like.
Yeah. It does sound like that, doesn't it?
So love it or hate it, OG Blade Runner is extremely influential. So I agree with you on that figure drawing. Ben also says he fell asleep 3 times in the new Blade Runner, and then he gave up. I haven't given up yet. I think Blade Runner 2049 gets too much hate, which is why I want to try it. I want to actually make it through. I mean, I like Ryan Gosling's performances and stuff usually, but something was just off. I don't know. I need to watch in the morning or what.
I'm gonna say that for people, I would not listen to any critics. For the most part, I don't listen when people say that they hate it, because I know that I like a lot of things that people hate. And then, like we were just saying, there are movies that people initially hated it. The movie flopped financially. Then 30 years later, oh my God, it's the best of its kind. Like, what is that? Why didn't you appreciate it at the time? And I think it's because people are so focused on how they can tear a thing down, how they can, I guess, look smarter by by saying everything is wrong with it, because nothing's perfect. But they want to say everything is wrong with it, blow it out of proportion, and kill the project. But enjoy what you enjoy. And I'm the same way. I talked about that in the nerd group when it comes to the superhero movies. I said it before, I'll say it again. I will never forget being a kid over at Food World and then looking up, seeing the Infinity Gauntlet comic book sitting over there in the comic book stand. And there is no part of me that as a kid thought that I would ever see anything like it on the movie screen. And then now I'm seeing it. The Spider-Man stuff, the way it looks. I mean, we started seeing it with Tobey Maguire, but Spider-Man never looked so good before Tobey Maguire.
I mean, I agree, man. I mean,
I agree.
And you
just enjoy what's happening. And
people hate on stuff, but they don't know. We grew up in that.
When you didn't have shit.
Incredible Hulk, Superboy, maybe come on a Saturday. We grew up in like lack. So the stuff people, y'all eating good. Y'all eat the worst. The worst of the modern movies I've seen, comic wise, I would still say are Catwoman and Electra. Y'all ain't seen bad. You see stuff you ain't like, but you ain't seen bad.
Catwoman pissed me off so deeply because I'm looking at it like, how in God's name do you think to make a Catwoman with no Selena Kyle? It's like a Batman without Bruce Wayne. Who the fuck does that?
Well, I mean, Batman. This is a good idea. He was in that though.
Who?
I would say Batman Beyond did it, but he was in that. And in fact, it was rumored that if Flash had done well, they would have done a Batman Beyond movie with Michael Keaton as old Bruce Wayne.
Maybe, but if Michael Keaton does not get a Batman Beyond project on the strength of this movie flopping that he didn't even make flop, I
mean, Michael Keaton is one of the best things in this movie. He is.
Yes, he is.
I mean, he is, because he
was
just enjoyed it.
To see him.
Oh, snap. He said, don't slander the electric company, Spider-Man. It's different. It's the electric. That's electric company, Sesame Street, Picture Perfect, all that stuff. You can't ever say anything bad about that. And I mean, wasn't the first Black Spider-Woman, Vanessa, was she from the electric company? Or was it
was it?
I don't know. I mean, she was in something, Pinwheel, Kaleidoscopes, one of them shows. It was so many kids shows back then. Back then, kids shows actually taught you stuff. I don't know what they do now. Because now everything on Netflix. It's a whole kids division of Netflix. I was at my girlfriend's mother's house, and she was babysitting the grandkids, and I'm like, what is this whole division of Netflix I've never seen? She's like, oh, you ain't got no kids. That's why. I'm like, okay.
Yes.
So,
but some of us, you need it too. I'm gonna tell you why you need it, because you haven't had this experience, but when you're sitting with a toddler, right, and you're trying to keep them entertained, keep them quiet, whatever you're trying to do, you're keeping your little baby, your infant, first your infant, then they grow a little bit more, than their toddler, and when you're trying to keep them, and you have the television on, you are watching what they are watching. And so eventually it's like you kind of hoping that you all kind of like the same cartoon a little bit. So Bubble Guppies would come on and they sing little pop relative to little children, right? And I would look, I ain't gonna lie, I was watching that Bubble Guppies, happy to watch Bubble Guppies, because at least we had something that we could watch together. And that's what you're looking for as a parent, is a thing that is appropriate for your toddler that you too can watch and enjoy a little bit. So
I will keep that in mind. When
Peppa Pig, man, that's why we could crack jokes about Peppa Pig, and when Susie learned how to whistle, and then Peppa flipped out about that. I mean, you got to know Peppa to understand why it mattered when Susie learned how to whistle and Peppa couldn't whistle. That was some shit.
I'm gonna take your word.
But it's context driven, Mark. It's context.
I believe it.
Sitting there, a little kid the whole time.
And like I said, you gotta really, my siblings, they was on Clifford the Red Dog or Arthur and all that kind of stuff. That's the kind of stuff. The last stuff they were watching. And Teletubbies, they watched that stuff too. And I had to watch them and stuff like that. Turn it on and like let them do what they're gonna do, and I'm all right, so I watch that kind of stuff, but I hadn't ever had to watch Peppa Pig. I think I watched a little bit Dora the Explorer.
Peppa,
Peppa
with an A. Get my pig together.
I'm gonna get it together for you. I'm gonna get it together.
Yes, we're gonna get my pig together.
All right. So I want to ask you one more thing, and I'm gonna finish with comics for the week. Okay. But you said Netflix, and that made when we talked about Netflix, that made me think about Extraction. So I watched Extraction 2 based off of your comment. Oh, you know what? You be like, it's better than John Wick and da da da. And they gonna put respect on Tyler Rake's name. So tell us about Extraction. Okay. You start the conversation. I don't know if you said it was better than John Wick.
I said my question was, John Wick and Tyler. Trying to say Tyler Rake. Tyler Rake. They get in a fight. Who's gonna win this? And people were like, John Wick. Now I bought 4. I haven't seen 4 yet, but I'm gonna watch it. So I watched when I saw that Extraction 2 was coming out. I went back and rewatched Extraction 1, and then went immediately into Extraction 2. And I've seen I own 4 of the John Wick all 4 John Wick movies, but I only watched 3 of them. But I think that having seen 3 John Wicks, I'm good on the fact that John can fight. People, when you just say, when you say, because people were like, oh, John Wick would take out Tyler so quick, and it just wouldn't even be it's not even a contest, not even close. I'm like, you are not respecting Tyler Rake, because John can fight, but dude, come on now, Tyler, the kind of fighting he was doing, the amount of people he was fighting. Just everything. Extraction. That's my movie, man. That is my movie.
So all right. So my stretch.
It is more action, whereas John Wick is more shoot 'em up. I'm put it like that.
Well, first of all, we say shoot 'em up. That Clive Owen movie, Shoot 'em Up, which is utterly ludicrous.
I forgot about that movie. Yeah,
I remember that movie is ludicrous. Me and Ed, for y'all, Ed was on here last time I had to host at the last minute. Ed came in. Ed was like, "You are right. That movie is ludicrous." But John Wick works because it's based in so much realism. Like the whole first John Wick movie, like, you stole a car from John Wick. You fucked up, man. Oh man, they built anticipation when he started capping off on people. Like, oh, well, they were serious. You don't mess with the wrong person. So I waited to watch Extraction because I was like, all right. When I found it was gonna be Extraction 2, I said I might as well wait to see him watch them back to back, which I did.
Okay.
I love Extraction. I love this. It was based in Mumbai, which is one of the, it's like 28 million people in Mumbai. I like that. Or Bangladesh outside of Mumbai. And I like that they filmed it in, in the Canada area that they filmed it in Thailand. I like that he got shot in because it makes sense. I'm like, oh, yes, it makes sense. It does. He took that shot to the neck. But then I was like, all right, they're going to bring him back. Let me see what the second one's about. And I watched it. I was like, okay, this makes somewhat sense. But I have to give them this. That scene in Extraction 2, when they trying to get that 21-minute scene where they going to the prison, is probably one of the best action scenes I've seen. In fact, I put Extraction 2 is like if The Raid and John Wick had a baby. That's that franchise right there. Extraction 2 is that right there. Because it's got the shoot 'em up stuff, but it's got the fight stuff. And I mean, it made me think about The Raid. Because you're in the close quarters, you're trying to fight your way through a bunch of people.
I still haven't watched The Raid.
All right, so first of all, I don't think Ben watched it.
It's all right. I mean, because I was about to get it, and I was like, "No, I'm good."
No, you need to watch The Raid. Watch The Raid. First is The Raid Redemption. Second is Raid 2. Your cousin Napoleon put me on that in the nerd group. He put me onto that. He put me on that. He put me on Banshee. That's why I got to get him on here so he can talk about his books on Black Afrofuturism. When it comes to and I need to get Napoleon so he can hate on DC in live because he hate everything DC.
Okay.
So he on my list too. Next show I get to produce. But you need to watch The Raid. Promise me you'll watch The Raid this week. Can you watch The Raid this week?
I can watch The Raid this week.
I promise you, man.
I'm really trying to focus on getting Spider-Man down across the universe. I feel like that's the most important thing for me to do.
I mean,
is get my Spider-Man together.
I mean, you get Spider-Man together. You need to watch The Raid, man. Because you've seen Train to Busan, right?
Say again.
You seen Train to Busan, right?
Oh yeah.
All right.
And the one after it. I got both.
So I hadn't seen the one after, but I've seen the animated prequel about it.
Animated prequel.
Yeah, the animated prequel to Train to Busan.
must have missed that. Okay.
Yeah, it's called Soul Station.
Nope, I have not seen it.
Yeah, Soul Station. That's what it's called.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an animated prequel. Yeah. That was called.
Okay.
It's a second release installment in the prequel to this. Yeah. Okay, yeah. You need to watch The Raid, dog. The way you lit up when I said Train to Busan, that's how people light up when they see The Raid. And I picked that because I was like, it's an Asian movie, it's popular. Everybody's like, oh, yeah, that shit's the truth. You do that.
I get on it.
All right. So in conclusion, we've been in a comic book movie. I did a weekend review as we finish up.
Yeah.
All right, because we finish up. So I'm gonna do my top 5, I think. So, and I hadn't been. The last. You supposed to go to the bookstore. You're supposed to go on your own. You're supposed to go with me. You didn't go.
I was supposed to, and ended up not because I got caught up on my CLE. Well, working on my CLEs.
I understand, man. Hey, man, maintain that law degree. I ain't gonna knock that ever. Right. So let's see.
And for people that don't know, I fell behind, so I'm like trying to knock out like about many hours of CLEs at once.
All right, so my blur is in effect, but it's Ultimate Invasion. Yeah, number 1.
Well, they're still doing Ultimates. Okay.
Well, this is Hickman making his return to the Marvel Universe. He's doing Ultimate Invasion. So Hickman's coming back. It is good. It's Brian Hitch. I got 2 complaints about this book. One, it ain't $8.99 good. I love Hickman. I love Brian Hitch, but it ain't $8.99. You know, especially because the other issues coming out are gonna be $5.99. But it is good because basically, you watch Rick and Morty, right?
A little.
All right, so
every once in a while, but not.
All right, so you understand the premise that Rick is a mad scientist.
Yeah.
All right. So basically, this is Reed Richards, as Kevin has always been. Reed Richards is a mad scientist. In actuality, he's just civilized. The maker is the ultimate universe Reed Richards that's gone crazy. This basically is him getting into his bag. Like, all right, I'm finna go back to the ultimate universe and I'm finna shake up what I need to shake up to do it. It involves the Illuminati coming together trying to stop him, and they fail.
Okay.
And also Miles Morales Spider-Man pops up too, because he basically like, look, man, you and I
are
both.
So 6 characters are trying to jump into the ultimate.
No, I mean, basically, Miles Morales and the Maker were the only characters from the Ultimate 1610 universe to make it after Secret Wars.
Okay.
They made into the mainstream 616 universe.
Okay.
So 1610 was destroyed during Secret Wars, and they made it over. So he's like, I'm finna go back, and you can come with me. And Miles did this whole thing. Nah, I'm good on that. I'm good on that. He's like, well, change your mind, let me know. But if you want to see evil Reed Richards, this is the book for you. My second complaint: Brian Hitch does not know how to draw Miles Morales hairline.
Oh,
he be healing this black boy hairline. I don't know what it is. He should be ashamed of himself for that. The dude can do a cinematic. People shooting, like almost like a movie, watching a movie. People shooting each other, but he can't do this black boy hairline. So, but that's number 5. Number 4 is Tenement by Jeff Lemire. So horror. Jeff Lemire doing horror. Andrea Sorrentino is the artist. Dave Stewart. Basically, these people are living in this building, and something's going on in this building, and it's all connected. It's creepy. That's why I like it. Yeah, I'm a Jeff Lemire stan.
Okay.
Probably I became a Jeff Lemire fan when he was writing Animal Man, because he kind of brought the horror elements of Animal Man. Marcus J. I raved on and on about Animal Man. Then I got in the Swamp Thing, but Jeff Lemire, when he in his own stuff, doing his own independent stuff, it's gonna be good. He just finished Little Vampires. It's like when he finishes one thing, goes to the next thing immediately. So I would definitely read this. Might be a good jumping on point for you, Damon, if you're looking for some good horror comics.
Sentiment. Okay.
It's number 1. Number 3, Superman, Joshua Williamson and Jamal Campbell. First of all, Jamal Campbell's a brother artist, so you got that fire art. Screaming the Silver Banshee. Silver Banshee is Jimmy Olsen's girlfriend. Yeah, that Silver Banshee. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. He was like, I know Silver Banshee. Yes.
With the white hair?
Yes. She is Jimmy Olsen's girlfriend.
Okay.
I said that immediately you caught on to it.
Okay.
I like, how the hell? Because Jimmy Olsen would have the craziest stuff in the world happen to him, man. He'd have all kinds of crazy stuff happen.
Okay. That
right.
alone is a story. I don't even know how that happened, but okay. I'm curious now.
I got to acknowledge a comment just came in. I watched both Raid and Raid 2. I watched some of the Kung Fu. So he's saying watch it. I'm saying watch. You need to watch it, man. So I'm just letting you know. All right. Number 2, Venom by Al Ewing. So it's issue 21, but it's issue 221 Legacy. They go to Legacy.
Is Al a black man? I mean, the name like Al Ewing just
no. Al Ewing is not a black man, but he writes black characters better than almost anybody else in Marvel right now.
Okay.
He's English or he's British, UK citizens. I don't know if he grew up in the Caribbean islands. I don't know if he grew up in a certain side of London. I don't know what's going on with him.
Al Ewing just sounds like the name of somebody's granddaddy that just lived life, and could tell you things. That's just what he sounds like. Al Ewing from Jackson, Mississippi, tell you everything about life and tell you the real story.
Al Ewing is probably one of the strongest writers at Marvel today, man. And Venom is, basically at this point, just catch you up. That's why I thought about King of Black for you. So basically, Eddie Brock is now the King in Black, so he controls all symbiotes. Noel was the original King of Black. Noel is like the thing that was around before the universe started. Kind of like you ever see Supernatural, the darkness in Supernatural?
I saw a little bit of that.
Basically like, I want everything quiet and stuff like that. Like I was asleep before all y'all life came and stuff like that. No, it's that kind of same kind of concept. Like everything was peaceful till all y'all living things showed up. And he's the creator of the symbiotes, and they all at his control. And basically the King in Black miniseries that Donny Cates did. Donny Cates basically reinvented Venom. He's like, basically, man, a symbiote, you can do anything with a symbiote. And Eddie Brock being the King in Black, he can move his mind from symbiote to symbiote and make it do whatever he want to do. Okay. But also, it's not just moving, it's not linear. Like, I can't just jump in this symbiote body. He jumps in symbiote bodies throughout time as well.
Okay.
So you can imagine that would drive a human being crazy. Yeah. And that's essentially what happened. You have different versions of him from the past, from his future, that have gone crazy, interacting with him.
Okay.
So, it's probably one of the best takes on Venom I've seen. It picked up from what he did before, what Donny Cates did before, just to kind of roll with it, And the name of this issue is, in pages 2 through 19, they fight. And that's exactly what happened. It starts out where they talking, Eddie Brock talking to a future version of him. And they just go at it. Fight. Okay. The whole issue is them fighting.
Of a future version of himself.
Yeah. A future insane version of himself.
Okay.
The concept is fascinating, man. You would dig it, man. I promise you.
Okay.
Think about it. You went from being able to have a symbiote on you to being able to jump into any symbiote and control it.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
And last, which I'm pleasantly surprised, my number 1 pick is Incredible Hulk by Philip Kennedy Johnson.
Okay.
This is a horror comic book. This is The Age of Monsters Begun. It is a horror comic book.
With Hulk. Okay.
First of all, the Hulk is a monster. You realize that, right?
He is. I guess.
No, the Hulk is a monster, man.
Okay.
Banner controls the Hulk to an extent, keep the Hulk from killing people, but the Hulk is a monster.
Okay. So
basically, and I said this is the spiritual successor to Immortal Hulk.
Jekyll and Hyde kind of monster, I guess. Yeah. I just never really saw it as a monster, but okay.
Bro, your birthday, I'm gonna get you an Immortal Hulk. I'm gonna get that for you. I already promised. I promised live on air at least 2 times.
And you get it, I'll read it.
You're gonna have to read it, man, because Immortal Hulk, because I was like, my favorite Hulk was Peter David up until Al Ewing once again wrote Immortal Hulk. And basically the concept is like, the Hulk can't die, and anybody who's been gamma irradiated can't die. So the people find horrific ways to try and kill him in his body horror. And then he also tapped into the Peter David, where there are different personalities of the Hulk, and who's in charge of the Hulk at any time. Is Banner in charge? Is Joe Fixit in charge? Is Devil Hulk in charge? And what's this green door they come through when they come back to life? Okay. You got the one above all, you got the one below all. It's a horror comic, and I think with this, and this is
Incredible Hulk. This is, what Hulk was this?
Yeah, Incredible Hulk. Peter David ruined me ever seen him as a monster. Man, read Al Ewing's version of. I mean, he's still he's a monster, but he's a heroic monster. I'll say that much. Read Al Ewing's run. You got to kind of see the body horror in that, and how other people who have gone through the Green Door just messed up. And Banner really should be messed up, to be perfectly honest. But I guess the part of him that's Banner keeps him like somewhat, sane. In this version, you have some monsters that come through and they're like, oh, well, the Green Door is closed now, and we can do what we want. It's the age of monsters. And the transformations in this book are horrific. Let me see if I can find one. Just like, because I was reading this book, I said, first of all, kind of your cultural point, David, like, it's certain things that people of color don't do. We ain't finna go in no grave. We're gonna go to this grave and pick up stuff and play with it. We not finna do that.
Leave the grave alone, or join the people in the grave.
You know how they basically find this tomb and they go in there and they pick up this stuff and they're like, why are you touching this? And she turns, and her head turns around like she possessed. Like, oh, the Green Door is shut.
This is a hard comment. Okay.
Yeah, and then basically, I'm probably gonna do a TikTok on this later on today. But basically, how she's starting to transform, and you can't see.
Oh, that just reminded me of that a little bit of that Evil Dead. I watched the new one.
Oh, you watched Evil Dead Rise?
I did watch it.
Evil Dead Rise is fire. So let me ask you this: of all the Evil Dead movies, where does this rank for you?
Shit, man. This does it for me, man. I like it. I liked it. I like the fact of it being pure horror. I mean, the Evil Deads, I get the comedy and it's campy, and that's the point of it. And they were fun. I enjoyed them. But, under the circumstances, like if you actually did come across something like that, that would be a terrible thing.
Yeah, definitely that. And the situation I described that happened to Hulk, well, we finna go into something and dig around. It's the same thing that happened to Evil Dead.
That's it.
Why y'all kids going down here, touching on stuff, man, bringing it back in your house, playing stuff? Nah, man. I'm not touching that in no grave. I'm not touching it in no tomb. I'm not reciting no words. I'm not playing nothing for no tomb. I'm not doing none of that.
It's because of this. I sometimes wonder about us as a people. It's like Black people, the way we act. I feel like I know we've had explorers in our culture, but it's a hard thing for me to imagine a whole lot of Black explorers because we are very quick to be like, I ain't fucking with that shit. What's over there on the other side of water? Whatever the fuck ain't fucking with me.
Exactly.
That's what's over there. Yeah. And I'm gonna be over here not fucking with it. But somebody we did have explorers in our history, but I also see my people how we act right now and be like, I don't know. Because I would have loved to have been an archaeologist, but at the same time, I'm not opening up a damn grave.
Archaeologist not like Indiana Jones.
That's just where that shit gonna be. I'll look at it and be like, that's good. Well, let's open it up. I'm good on that. I don't need to.
Well, see, now you don't got much because I like Evil Dead Rise. I like how it started out. I like how it tied to the end of it.
Yeah, I like the chainsaw.
The start of Evil Dead Rise for me is that mama. That mama probably was the worst dead I have ever seen. Because she was on them kids. It's like I'm gonna get y'all kids.
So sad. It wasn't just scary. It was a truly tragic, scary story. And a lot of movies, a lot of them are like scary but not tragic. Like The Blob was scary but not tragic to me. This was surely tragic as shit. 100%.
Oh, definitely that. But like I said, I like how it tied. I like how it tied to the beginning, tied to the end. And I love when the zombies coming up and it's like Evil Dead Rises when she coming out the water and stuff like that.
Yes, that was perfect way to do that. That I think pop up like that.
I think I like Evil Dead 2013 a little bit more because it was in the cabin.
Okay.
And the stuff they were doing, like when she was like cutting her tongue open and stuff like that.
I gotta see this again. I gotta see it again.
Yeah, and I like the fact that the sister, because the premise is they're going out to the woods to detox, to have intervention to detox the girl as a drug addict, and they think that she acting up because she detoxing, but she actually possessed, and then they actually cure her, exorcise the demon from her, but at that point she the only one left.
Exorcise the demons. I just had to do that. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm done.
So I think I like that one better. But you can't go wrong with them. Evil Dead franchise has been has been strong. I think Bruce Campbell's officially said he ain't gonna ever play Ash again. In Evil Dead, Ash vs. Evil Dead on Stars was a great show. Okay, it was funny, but it was.
I did start watching it. I hadn't finished it though.
I think is it 2 seasons or 3 seasons? It may be 2. Stars was quick to cancel shows, Yeah. And my only complaint about that show is that my fine ass Jill Marie Jones played Tony from Girlfriend. She was in it. She got man. I wanted her to make it. I wanted her to make it so bad, but she got man. I was hurt by that.
All right. Oh, can I ask a question?
Go ahead, ask a question.
I'm gonna throw this out there. Also from nerds this week. Best Punisher. Who's the best Punisher? Ray Stevenson, Thomas Jane, or Dolph Lundgren? There you go. Oh, and Jeremy Bentham. Don't let me leave that man.
I mean,
I was leaving somebody out. Last time I did,
it's Shane from the Punisher TV series at this point. John Bernthal, that's his name, John Bernthal. Yeah. Shane from Walking Dead, John Bernthal. He's the best Punisher.
And I'll
probably say I like Thomas Jane second, even though Ray Stevenson was probably better. Dolph Lundgren's Punisher was not really the Punisher. He was, but he wasn't.
Talking about back in the early 90s, 80s, kind of. Yeah.
I said 2. I don't know if he's saying 2 to like I don't know if he's saying 2 to like Punisher or what.
Definitely not a part 2. Well, there was a part 2.
Well, I mean, Punisher 2 was Punisher War Journal. That's what Ray Stevenson became the Punisher. Because the first one was Thomas Jane Punisher, which was heavy on the Garth Ennis. And that's funny because Garth Ennis's take on the Punisher was probably the best takes I've seen up until Jason Aaron's.
And I like John Travolta in that too, by the way. I want to put that out there.
Up until Jason Aaron's current run on Punisher, which just ended, where he basically was the beast of the hand.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Hutch, Bob Odenkirk. Okay.
I saw was Hutch. I can't remember the name of the character, but in the movie Nobody with Odenkirk.
Bob Odenkirk. Nobody is a good movie.
Man. I did not know that Odenkirk could hold down an action movie until I saw Nobody. At which point,
Nobody is a good movie, man.
This dude is good.
And they said that Bob Odenkirk trained for a long time to be able to do that stuff, man. Because it's just like he reached his point, like, hey, I ain't gonna do this no more. What he said, Shane was never the Punisher. No, Ben will say this, man. I liked him better as Punisher and Frank Castle than I ever did as Shane. Because I was like, man, somebody to kill this asshole. I kept saying this.
I love Shane. Shane was my dude, man.
Shane was a terrible individual.
To this day. That Shane died. When every time they do something and Shane ain't there, I was mad. Boy.
And I like, what's the dude?
When the governor came, I was like, man, if Shane was still alive, he would have fucked up the governor by now.
Man, who was the dude with the hat that ran the RV? He was like, I know what kind of man you are, Shane. I'm like, I do too. Shane is the kind of person that you don't want to get pulled over. If he the cop police, you don't want that at all.
You don't want that shit, no.
Because Shane
that's true.
He gonna take every advantage he can to do something he didn't need to do. John Bernthal was a good actor because he made me feel like I dislike Shane.
I never at any point disliked Shane. It's just like I would be more like, damn it, Shane, but I never disliked him.
All right, so Ben comes there's 2 seasons of Evil Dead TV series. So yeah, damn, I thought it was more than that. Yeah, we figured out Hutch was the name of the character. Nobody. I remember now. I was hoping there would be a Nobody too, but really it didn't have to be one, because it pretty much ended.
I thought they were gonna do.
He killed everybody he needed to kill. Wasn't nobody left in the kill. But you can make that same argument about John Wick too. He killed everybody.
He made the same argument about a lot of them. But unless a new thing comes up, nobody could have a sequel because when you think about it, because he came from there's a military experience that he had that justified him being able to do the stuff that he did. So if somebody wanted revenge for something he did back in the war, that could be a whole movie.
Yeah, I mean,
matter of fact, they explore like in the show True Blood. One of the characters, he's I forgot his name, but real nice dude. He was one of the chefs. and just real nice guy. But he used to do he could fight and do all the shit from back in the war, but he was trying to leave all that behind. But in the story, they brought back some supernatural shit that he experienced over at the war that was having impact on him in his civilian life. And so for nobody, they could do the same thing. Some demons from his past, not literal like in True Blood, but some demons from his past to come back and coming after all the members, of his old unit, and that could set him off again.
Let's see. That one fight scene, prisons. The one fight scene in prison there was the only time Shane was the Punisher in this whole run.
That was a dope ass fight scene.
It was good. I mean, yeah, it was bloody. I remember that.
But it was the same type of scene, not a but and it was the same type of scene that you saw in about twice in Daredevil, involving Daredevil himself going into buildings and fighting in a narrow hallways, passageways, whatever. They did that a lot in Daredevil, and well, not a lot. They did that a couple of times in Daredevil, and to me, they did it to great effect. I loved it.
I mean, Daredevil has some of the best fight scenes on TV. I mean, definitely that.
It feels real. It feels real. So, like when I look at Extraction, as much as I like it, and it too feels real in his way.
In the movie On a High Note, we always ruin stuff. I think he said something similar. He said it was going to be an Extraction 3. He's out here. We go again.
You know what? Fuck it. Yes, let's get an Extraction 3 because I love it so much.
I mean, but the way Extraction 2 ended,
it needs an Extraction 3 because the reason why. Do you remember how Extraction 1 ended? The little boy was in the pool, the one that he rescued. He was in the pool, and he had just come up out the water, and then right to the side, standing there, you see Tyler, but it's out of focus.
Yeah,
so
you see somebody standing there.
So my thing is, all right, so whatever it is that Tyler went through, he survived it. Then you see in Extraction 2 how he survived that fall and what happened.
Normally, I would call
BS. Never seen him reconnect with that boy, so there's still some story left where he got.
I get out there, but I would have called BS. I'm like, obviously, he died in Extraction 1. He got shot in the neck. First of all, I give Extraction this edge over John Wick 2 because over John Wick franchise is that even though in John Wick, well, I don't want to spoil John Wick 4 for you, but basically, I was watching John Wick like, man, how the hell is he getting shot and not bleeding and stuff like that? And then I realized they had this whole bulletproof fabric and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, all right, I'll buy that. But in Extraction, at least you saw he got stabbed, he got shot, he would hurt. Especially in Extraction 2, when he get that, when somebody hit him in the back of the head, he's like, oh, his head was ringing, and that blood started coming out. It was like, okay, well,
he had him in a daze for a bit. He needed a minute, to recover from that one.
And he's exactly right. That is the old boy scene. The Daredevil stuff, with Daredevil and Long Take fighting and Punisher, that is old boy. Which Spike Lee remade with Josh Brolin, but I think I prefer the original old boy, the Korean version. With dude.
I think I've seen both. I know I've seen the one with Thanos. So
Thanos, so would you call him? You ain't gonna call him Josh Brolin? Call him Thanos?
No more. He's just Thanos. So
well, let me ask you this: have you seen both
Thanos and Scarlet Witch? Yes.
All right, so I don't mind because I've seen the original. Does the original does the one Spike Lee did? Does it end with the girl he met being his daughter?
Yeah.
Okay, so did he have sex with her? Because in the Korean version, that was the messed up part. Like, I said,
yeah, he did. He did cut.
Oh snap! That's terrible. I can't believe
you not remember that. I know you've seen Spike Lee's.
I hadn't seen Spike Lee's.
Oh, you didn't see it?
I'm behind. I think I started watching, didn't finish it, man.
Man, it had all the fucked up shit. Yes.
Okay, I thought they were gonna pull punches on it. I was like, man, I started watching.
Spike didn't pull no punches.
Okay, all right, because when I saw that, I said they finna remake an old boy, and that ain't gonna happen, man. American audience is not gonna tolerate that at all.
Yes. That was there.
But then again, I said the same thing about the Ring. Remember, and this is gonna be the last part right here. Remember when I was trying to find the Ring in Atlanta all them years ago?
The Ring. Oh, I remember. Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Like, nobody would rent the Ring out to me. Nobody was like, the Ring is illegal in America.
I remember that.
And then the Ring gets remade. They sanitized it. The American Ring is more sanitized, but but people was for y'all watching, man.
The original.
I was on a hunt to see the Ring back in when we were in college in the 2000s, And like nobody would get me this movie. They were like, it's illegal to have this movie. I'm like, what the hell you mean it's illegal? I definitely got to see it. I'm like, is it real or what? And then they remade it in the 2000s. Americans remade it. And I'm like, but I had seen it by that point. Me and Marcus had watched it. Yeah. And Marcus was like, I had a dream about the ring last night. You know, Marcus, I had a dream about the ring. I had a dream that this vicious girl came out the mirror and got me.
Man, them shits, the ring, the grudge, you know.
Well, he got you there. Bro, you keep making these movies and dudes turn to superheroes when the magic sauce, they're supposed to be regular dudes that do amazing stuff. And he also says what I thought Spike was the witch version of old boy. I'll put it like that. It's what we talked about earlier in the show. Is the business of show business. You know, they basically, we can make a movie. Yeah. People like this. This is the highest rated movie on Netflix. Well, Extraction 3, here we go.
Yeah, and I don't hate it. I do not hate it. What's his name? John Wick. What's his name? Keanu Reeves. Yeah, he said the same thing, that, you know, as long as y'all want to keep seeing them, he'll keep making them.
But I would say I like it, but Ben's right, because I mean, when we were little, Dave, I guess it was like Schwarzenegger.
Oh, they would take movies all the way out to be like part 8. You know.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you had Schwarzenegger, you had Stallone. And then you had stuff like America Ninja with Michael Dudikoff or whatever it was. And then you had Missing Action with Chuck Norris, you know.
Oh, wait, I know. Here, this the one. All right, my question.
Blood Sport, but you know, Van Damme was one of the first Blood Sport. And then
I don't understand in video games. There is a game called Final Fantasy.
Uh-huh.
And then after Final Fantasy, there's a Final Fantasy 2. Then I'm like, well, how the fuck is it final if there's a second one? And then the third one. And then a fourth one. And it just kept going. I'm like, how the fuck is it final? It's not final. Just call it fantasy. Infinite Fantasy. That's what I think they should just call the game.
You know,
I'm off
my just call it Never Ending Story. That's what you call it.
Never Ending Story. I feel like that name is taken, but I'm going to say it anyway. The Never Ending Story, also known as Final Fantasy.
Yeah, I mean, it is. But, you know, it's the business of show business, man. They're going to find a way to make money. So,
are you entertained? Are you not entertained?
And I have been thoroughly entertained. So we're going to get ready to close it out, man. I appreciate you jumping on such short notice, man. Everybody watching, you know, please make sure to like, subscribe, smash that like button. Make sure to get that. Smash that like button, subscribe.
Yep, there it is. Say it right there.
Yep. So I got that in there. So I appreciate you, Damon. Like I said, the schedule should be back to normal because, like, you know, Sergio, who's the owner of the House of Nerd, he should be back next week, and then we'll be back. And then, but I'm gonna get you on there again, Damon. You come through for me on the clutch. Ben, I'm gonna get you on here too when I get the chance to produce my own show. I know I said we'll get Napoleon on here too. So it's like a bunch of people I want to get on here, but I gotta get back in the schedule because we have creators and stuff booked to come on as well.
Awesome.
So that's it, man. So let me find our art. Wait, I think we have one last comment. That's a good way to end. Final Fantasy 17. So Final Fantasy 17. Boy.
It's the final fantasy.
All right, so you can't all that out. On that note, we about to be out. We'll see y'all next week. The House of Nerds should be back in its regular time. Elle and Sergio should be together, but you never know. The room's always change at the House of Nerds. So I should see y'all the week after that around July 9th. I'll talk to y'all later. Say bye, David.
Bye.
Okay.